no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, yeah, shoot, yeah, shooting, yeah, shooting, shot. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
What's happening, people? Welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town on a Monday night if you're a Spurs fan. If you're not a Spurs fan, welcome. Great to have you with us. If you're a regular, hey man, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and comment during the show. The title of this week's show, Toxic Ham HOTSPUR. Guys, I've supported this club for a very, very long time. I've never, ever seen it as toxic as it's getting. And this was meant to be the new culture change. There's so many layers to this. There's so many factors to discuss. Let's go.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
How are we doing, everyone? It's Monday night. It's showtime.
Woo woo! Showtime.
How you doing, JP? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm still looking for defenders. I haven't seen any centre backs anywhere, or even talk of centre backs anywhere. Or was it 13 days to go now? We're gonna have my man Eric.
Bring it on, man. Bring it on.
Bring it on. Yeah, I could do with another month. I think just hanging about, letting stuff happen.
We need another month to fix it. We've got Brian Daigle and Has joining us shortly as well. And Iggy sadly is not well. Maz is busy, but We got Mari in the house, all the way from the USA.
Doing good. Got into a little fender bender, so I wasn't too happy about that. But happy to be alive and well, and that everybody was okay. Just insurance.
Hopefully you're all right.
See,
yeah,
that's
okay.
That's what happens when you drive on the wrong side of the road, Murray.
Yeah, I guess
you Americans on the wrong side of the road. You've got to come this side.
I hear that talk whenever I go to the UK. They're like, "You guys drive on the wrong side of the road," and I'm like, "No, you guys do." Because the first time I'm like, "Look, you're on the wrong side of the road," and I'm thinking, "Okay, I'm in the UK."
I had a friend who came over from the States, right? Drove a car, and as soon as they discovered a roundabout, they panicked. It was like full scale panic. What'd you do? What'd you do with this thing? This is a big round object. What'd you do?
Why? We have roundabouts all over the place. In fact, that's what they're building now more often than anything is roundabouts.
Yeah. But the UK has so many, way too many. I'm like, every corner.
Yeah, you don't want to be driving around Milton Keynes, I'll tell you.
Well, they don't put roundabouts on like main roads or 4-lane big roads. It's like the back roads. So instead of stop signs, they're doing roundabouts nowadays on smaller roads.
We have them everywhere. We've got another person from the USA, in case you haven't noticed. Will Stewart from Atlanta. How you doing, Will? You all right?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Living the dream, Will. I'm living the dream.
Living the dream.
That's good. Yeah. Quick shout out to the one and only Harry Kane. Happy birthday. I don't know if this is going to go down well, but listen, man, it was his birthday the past couple of days, so big up to Harry, man. He's one of our own.
Friday, I think.
Yeah, it was Friday. Same day as my wife.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Debbie.
So he's one of our own and she's one of your own. You see?
Yep.
Big up to Debbie as well.
I only owns.
Just going to do a quick. Oh, beg your pardon, guys. Can someone send Brian Daigle the correct link? I've sent the wrong link. And Has as well. If anyone's got has his number from South UK, I think I've sent the wrong link to them. Big up to everyone in the chat, guys. I'll just quickly run through your names. Oh, by the way, big up to channel member Carl Patrick Vineyard. Thank you to you, my man. Quick shout out. I'll read the names because it's just quicker than me clicking on everyone. Big up to Eugene, Robbie Clark, Rob Ayres, LA007, Bertie Hotspur, Roy, Ant, Conrad in the house, Zach, Jamie Git, Frankfurt Aguna, and She Became a Butterfly. Philip T. We've got Lee Enigma. Oh, can someone send Lee the right link as well? Because I've sent him the wrong one. Dean, Zafaguna, Graham, Richo63, Invert Sugar Syrup, William Leone, Ant, Spurs Rule, Finn, Apocalypse Now, Zach, Tom81, Sammy Mehmet, Chris Gombar, Brian Daigle, Jamie Git, Dexter, J.O., and Purple and Gold until we are sold. Let me send the link because I've got a feeling you guys might not have their number. First thing I just want to...
I already sent it to Brian.
Have you sent it to Lee?
I don't have Lee's number.
I'll do it. So,
Has needs one too, right?
I'll send it to both. Just to start the show, okay? Because it's honestly, guys, I've never seen it so toxic in my life on social media with Tottenham. We've had some bad months. We've had some years where it's just, whoa, everyone's turning. Right now, it is horrible out there. And I'm going to show some tweets and some Facebook posts and some stuff that's being said. It is diabolical how bad it's getting. And I just want you to tell me what you think of this, right? A couple of weeks ago, I got this email from Tottenham. The match day atmosphere survey. We're going to trial some new ways to raise the atmosphere at Tottenham. Pre-game interviews, play announcements, half-time interviews, real-time competitions, lyrics, fan cam. Guys, my reply was this. Is that Will? No. I put down, if we had a winning football team who lifted trophies like Big Six clubs are supposed to do, and we're not just happy to finish top four, then the atmosphere will naturally improve. The owners need to focus on the team as a priority instead of money and property. Now, that was my recommendation of how to fix the atmosphere. What do you make of that email? Because I don't think the problem is the atmosphere in the stadium. I think it's the atmosphere out of the stadium and on social media right now. JP, what do you have you noticed it? Have you seen it? What vibe are you getting?
I think it's the boos and the leave you out chants that rang around the back end of last season, where his wife had to calm him down by tapping his knee and all of that stuff. I think it's trying to push fans into this happy clappy place, whereas the football and the team's not quite there. They're trying their best to try and cover it, hide it. Playing the loud music at the end of a game, at the end of halftime, blasting it up loud is semi-working. But obviously during the football they can't. So let's try and find another way to quieten the crowd, quieten the noise. What's up, Brian? Right, man.
What's up, JP and everyone? How are we doing?
Brian, sorry for sending you the wrong link. I don't know what I did. I just don't know what I did.
No worries. Okay, I came in and it said stream ended after 2 hours 16 minutes. I was like, what? And then I realised that I think I've been sent the wrong one.
Look, my apologies for that. I was setting up one stream and then I sent the link from anyway. I did a Stelios thing. Well, Maury, what about you, my man? Have you noticed the toxicity on social media, and are you kind of more worried about the atmosphere in the stadium or out of the stadium at the moment?
Right now, it's definitely outside of the stadium, because in the stadium, I still think there are too many people who are, I don't know if content is the word. I guess they still, I don't know, something about our club. It's very big on decorum, but and I'm not saying decorum is not good. Not good. I mean, decorum is good, but in regards to the other top 6 clubs, to the other fan base, we don't really get toxic in that building, other than a few leavey outs and whatsoever. It's outside when you go on X, aka old Twitter, or you go on Instagram or maybe other YouTube channels, is where you see the fight, which is weird because more and more people are acknowledging that Daniel Levy and the board are not really good. I think everybody universally will say, wow, we need center backs, but people are getting nasty in the sense of, all right, we'll still trust the board and Levy to get it done. And it's like, what evidence do you have for this to happen? And so people, to sum it up, people want to be right. And sometimes when people are wanting to be right, they get nasty about it. They really do get nasty about it. People say, oh yeah, we're not echo chamber on Twitter. No, it's not. If you do not agree with my point, then you are, people take it to a point where they are the enemy and they have to either humiliate them. And so it becomes toxic.
Will, your take on it, or what you're seeing or what you're not seeing?
I got a phone call. What are we talking about?
Cutting edge content
Levy?
creation here on Tottenham Away. Only the finest content creators in the business.
But you saw me go off cam. What did you think I was doing? You heard me say hello on stream because my mute button wasn't working either.
Sorry. No, we were talking about the price of cheese going up in Europe and what we think.
That's
about
horrible.
Cheese costs.
Cheese should be cheap.
Cheese should be cheap, exactly. Now we were talking about how toxic it's getting amongst the fans, and the club have.
It's Monday, man. What's new?
Here we go.
Where you been for the past 2 years?
No, but do you think, honestly, it's true. Look, it's been building. Do you think right now, as it stands, it's worse than ever before? Because for me, just what I'm seeing. Let me give you an example. Look. Someone would put a tweet out like this, right? Saying Poch is fired, Jose's failed, Conte failed, Nuno failed, Levy takes a bonus, no Europe, all the usual things that everyone lifts. And then the responses will be things like this. I could not agree more. I've blocked 150 of the whingers. So you get labelled a whinger for stating all of this is factual. You're a whinger. All you do is moan.
Is that like a ginger wanker or something? What's a whinger?
Similar. A whinger is someone who moans
it's
a lot.
just someone who moans a lot.
A whiner, right? And then someone will reply with, sorry, but we're back to the Irving Scholar days. It took us 30 years to recover then. I give up. And then someone will reply with, bunch of Levy sympathisers. And now it escalates. Levy sympathisers. We've got 4 weeks left in the window. I'll judge it when the window shuts. They don't need time to settle in. They're professionals. And then someone will reply with, Levy sympathisers. These people need to fuck off. And all fans want the same thing. Just because I don't spit out my dummy out every day, and then he calls everyone a prick. And then this guy, I'm not going to read it all, but calls the Levy outlaw Hitler's brown shirts. Another one calls them, no, they're the UKIP brigade. And it just goes on and on and on. And they try and make out it's one-sided, but I've posted there the Levy inside. Nazis, pricks, fuck off. Listen, don't get me wrong. There's people that leave you out on like the moral high ground, but this is every day. This is every single day on social media, WhatsApp groups, Facebook, Twitter's the worst, YouTube in the comments on certain shows. Like, do you not think it's worse now than what we saw last season?
It could be, except for the fact that Twitter now has a function where you don't get notifications for anybody who doesn't follow you. So I don't see any of that stuff, dude. Like, even when they respond to my tweets, I don't get a notification. So I just spit, I just piss in the wind basically now. I go in and drop my my logic bombs on people, and then I don't even get notified if they respond unless they follow me. So I haven't seen a lot of it, to be honest with you. I'm not saying it's not there, because obviously it is. You showed the tweets, but I'll tell you what, man, that has probably been the best thing that I've ever done on Twitter, is set that notification up to where I only get notifications if the person responding to me is a follower of mine, so, or if I follow them. So,
do you know what? I read one tweet from this woman called Emma, and she said that she hates supporting Tottenham right now because of how vile it is amongst fans, and that she just wants to support her team, but she's struggling because of what's going on between fans. And then what really caught my attention was the two opposite arguments. One fan responded saying, I know it's disgusting. All they know is abuse when they can't win an argument. It's illogical. It's irrational. Then the other person said, this is the culture that we now have because of the way the owners and the chairman have run the club. This is happening because of them. Don't blame us because we voice our views on it. And it's literally, you either that
but
way.
That's what dumb people do, right? Dumb people that don't have arguments just insult people, right? If you're not smart enough to make an actual rational, logical response to a person's comment, and then when even when you try to use logic, people just dog on you. Just
bro. Sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, Will. Everyone says that they're the ones with the logic. That's the problem.
That's because they don't know what logic is.
Exactly. I was saying that yesterday. No, I was sorry to interrupt. I was saying that yesterday. It's funny that you say that, because there are people who said, I come up with a logical saying, and then this other YouTuber, this woman goes, I bring logic and basic. You know what? Logic is only logic. It's like almost to the eye of the beholder. If it's logic to your agenda, if it's a logic to your point, of course it's going to be logic. Right now we're in 2023, where we don't even know what things are.
Well, what I mean by logic is not what makes sense to you, right? Because there's a lot of dumb things that make sense to people. What I mean by logic is like actual logic, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle, right? Law of identity, like classical logic. That's what I mean by logic. When I say something's logical, I mean literally it has a premise and a conclusion, right? premise, conclusion, like in a syllogism. I don't mean it makes sense to you.
Well,
because there's lots of dumb things that make sense to people.
Well, I didn't
exactly. That's my point. People don't know what the heck logic is.
Break it down for someone like me that needs a basic explanation of what you just said there.
Yeah. So, like, an argument is basically when somebody's making an argument, they're making an assertion. They're saying something is the case. They're saying something's true, right? And if their logic is sound, right? Like if it's logical, if it follows the laws of non-contradiction, the law of excluded and the law of identity, then that means you can follow that path to something that will happen or can come true. For example, if you were to say all swans are white, right? Well, you can't prove or you can't know that there's not a black swan somewhere, right? So it's illogical to say all swans are white because there very well could be.
All right. Am I right in saying then it's only logical if there's fact to back it up?
Not necessarily fact, right? Not like a pure, like maximal truth or anything like that, but something that logically follows. Like, so, you know, the car is white, right? All cars have wheels. Therefore, snow is a car, right? That doesn't follow. That doesn't, because there could be things that are white that have, you know, that
don't have wheels.
That don't have wheels, right? Or if it's cold outside, right? It only snows when it's cold outside. It's cold outside, therefore it's snowing, right? That's illogical because it can be cold outside without snowing. But something that follows that necessitates it, right? For example, it can only snow when it's cold. It's cold outside, therefore it could snow, right? That's a logical statement, right? It could be the case that it could snow if it's cold outside. But if it's hot outside, you know for a fact it's not going to snow because it's hot.
Right? I want to come back to this at some point today because...
Sorry, just really, really quickly, just big up to Ian and JD. So Enoch and Levy doing us more harm than good. That's so true, man. Definitely, 100%.
That's the side of the argument, right? That's the side of people like me. I'm one of those people on that side that says this is what's causing it. I want to come back to what Will said in a short while because I want to bring up a point to what you said about logic, and I want you to give me your take on it. Let me go to someone who isn't really active on social media, on Twitter. Brian, you're pretty new.
Yeah, it's been a dry day. I've only tweeted about 12 times today.
Finally,
his middle name X comes into it now.
We should call him Brian X. Brian X. What are you seeing out there, Brian? Because everyone knows what side of the coin you rest on, but what are you seeing at the moment, especially on social media?
Oh, mate, I've spent a lot of time when we're doing this. When we hear the good word we get called as well is Levy frothers. Apparently, we're Levy out frothers is a name they use. It's so bad, and I keep saying this is on both sides. It is on both sides. When I say both sides, I don't just mean when I say Levy out. I don't just mean everyone that stands and protests. I mean everyone around the world. But because someone used that hashtag Levy out, automatically they're assumed they're part of us and part of the protesters, and it goes from. I mean, Stel, you've seen the abuse I personally got from certain people, because they
you got racial abuse. You had racial abuse.
I'll put this in context. I have a certain person who has now created a burner account who targets me non-stop, and under a picture that I posted of me, my mum, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, my 5 nieces and nephews, he posted a picture of Auschwitz and said, "Time to get the trains running and turn those ovens on."
Yeah,
he has attacked my. They have attacked my addiction. They have attacked my mental health history. They've attacked my wife. I make a beeline of it, especially when I come to the mental health aspect. I never get involved in these slagging matches. I'll be very, very outspoken in regards to Levy out, and you're not going to change how I feel. That there's nothing you can say to make me think any different. But I make a point of it not to attack the person. I'll attack the argument, but on both sides, and I'm not just saying it's on the side that I'm not on. The people that are on our side, as in Levy out, are just as bad. But it just goes from saying, "Oh, we haven't signed defenders yet. Well done, Levy," to just borderline abuse. The words that are being used on both sides, but let's face it, this is what social media has become. This is what social media. It's done a lot of good. Put it this way: social media is the reason, apart from you and me, Stel, that we all know each other. That's how we all know each other.
Yeah.
A lot of good come from it. It's brought out wonderful with friendships. It's brought out wonderful relationships with people in the chat that we speak to. But there's dark, sinister sides to it, and we're just talking about football and this instant, let alone the rest of social media and what goes on there. But the stupid thing with this is what I've been trying to say it to people right now. We're not going to get people when people are thinking, do you know what, I'm not happy with my club now. I think I might be drifting towards Levy out, Enoch out. We need to be engaging and inviting and talking with them, not calling them every name under the sun and pissing them off even more. They're like, why am I going to join if that's all they do? It's awful on both sides. On both sides, it's awful, but that is social media.
Well, I think still, just really quickly, I want to go to Sophie's point because this kind of just sums it up, right? So we know what Tottenham's like in terms of an area or whatever, but apparently there was a murder at White Hart Lane last night.
Yeah, there was.
And then people were literally tweeting kind of like straight away after that. Enoch out took it too far. It's even that level of stupidity.
Wasn't there somebody shot on the high road like a couple months ago too? Like, what does that have to do with Levy and Levy out? It's Tottenham, right?
Yeah, I think someone to get to that point, that is really they need to get their head checked to be able to associate people to a crime like that, especially I don't know how the laws are in the UK, but in America, when you do that, I mean, defamation is a word it's something real serious, and so I think, of course, you will always have some nut jobs on both ends of the spectrum, but when it gets to that point right there, that's really tasteless in my book.
Can I come to you, Lee, on this? Right? Is this not a case of the two extremes? In fact, I was thinking about this last night because I was watching a few shows and I heard this conversation. I find Spurs is just so political now. You got the ref, you got the right, you got the left, you got the middle. The Democrats, Republicans, Tories, Labour, Liberal Democrats. It's just this is what I see. You've got people that have made up their mind. No matter what happens, they want the owners gone. Right? Nothing will change. Maybe some short-term hope, but it will always end in failure. Then you've got the others that will never want the owners gone because they fear a new owner might turn us into what's happened to Newcastle when they went down, Leicester, they've gone down, and they're petrified of that. Then you've got the biggest chunk, which is the middle. And I do agree that the biggest chunk of fans is in the middle. But for me, I actually think the middle's the problem. Because if you're Enoch in, Levy in, you can't really argue with it. Like, that's it. They've got their reason for it. If you're Levy out, Enoch out, that's it. You can't argue with them. You can't argue with me. I will never change my mind unless we go and win the Champions League and Premier League next season, then which is impossible because we're not in the Champions League. But you get the drift. But that middle ground does nothing. They do nothing, but yet they get themselves involved in every conversation about it. So it's almost like you don't want to be Levy in, Enoch in because you're not happy with things at the club, but you don't want to be Levy out or Enoch out because they're nasty, horrible people. That's the way it's depicted. So you just want to do nothing, and yet you want to tell everyone else how they should behave. Is that middle ground not actually the problem? Are they the ones for doing nothing but moaning and complaining the problem, Lee? Or do you see it from a completely different perspective to what I've described?
I think a lot of those people as we've discussed before, they're the people that sat in the middle that make up the vast majority of the fan base that are just not invested enough. They want to have a moan, but they're not invested enough to do anything about it, and that's fair enough. I mean, if they're quite happy to keep paying the ticket prices, they're quite happy to go along and seeing absolute dross that's being put out, then fair enough. I mean, you can't say nothing to them really if they want to do that. But one point I did want to pick up on, which I was watching a couple of shows the other day as well, I'm absolutely amazed that I mean, I'll put it out to you as it is. I mean, they didn't say by names, but certain people are now looked at as being extremists. I mean, almost inciting violence and stuff like that. I mean, we're getting this is. I'll tell you what this is all causing this, right? And I know this is backwards and forwards through the fan base, all this kind of what this week especially, since we're so close to the start of the season, these periods of complete silence are where the fans' frustrations start to bubble, and they start to bubble a bit more. And now we're getting to the point where we're getting not only just frustrated, but almost scared that we've got a few weeks to go. Nothing seems to be moving, and it's almost like at the beginning of the window they baited us a little bit with a couple of signings, and it is so glaringly obvious. Don't matter what side of the fence you sat on. And this is one of those things that you can't argue with. We know what the frailties were last season. Every fan knows what we need. 2 weeks to go, and there's no sign of that happening. There's no communication, nothing whatsoever. And I think this week, especially with some of the shows that I've been watching, is that now everyone's frustrations are coming to the surface, and they can't take it out on anymore on any of Levy, Enoch, this club, blah blah blah. We're starting to take it out on each other, and I think that's exactly what some people want us to do, because it creates drama, right? And that's, I hate to say it, creates clicks and I'm not calling any particular people out, but the fact that I started listening to people talking about people that are Enoch out, Levy out as extremist leftists, potentially put them on the side of places that incite violence and stuff like that. I was thinking, is this where we got to now? Have we got to the point where we're such divided? Whereas you had a lot of people on the fence or whatever, we're so divided now. You're either in one camp or the other, and then you've got the people in the middle who are just basically the people that Levy won at the stadium. They're the people that pay their money, shut their mouths, and just go and watch the games and enable Levy to get away with it. That's the issue, isn't it? And I feel really sorry for this fan base now, because we're a complete joke.
The issue is that like the thirsty woke squad are extremely salty, right? And they think that going out there and crapping on people is like some kind of validation. They like to throw shade.
It's a thrill to people, isn't it?
Yeah,
taking the piss out of people online is a thrill.
No cap. That's all my Gen Z slang for the day.
Yeah. I mean, in my day when I was younger, all the things that were said, you only had the choice to say it to people's faces or have an argument. And suddenly, a lot of these people wouldn't last 5 minutes on the street. They'd be absolutely, they wouldn't even go out of their houses, would they? They'd just stay in their houses and keep their mouth shut. But now they've got a platform. And it's almost like a lot of people wake up in the morning and say, who can I piss off today to cause a fight between other people, and then I can sit back and laugh about it. That's where we've got to as a fan base.
It's just poking the fires, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the worst part about a lot of people on Twitter, especially what I've seen on the Levy inside, maybe because I'm on the Levy outside, I don't see a lot of the trolls on the Levy outside, but at least I definitely see all the trolls on the Levy inside. And the worst thing about them is that they make it some kind of social issue, right? Like it's a moral issue, and then they'll actually go and make up lies about you as an individual in order to discredit whatever argument or whatever opinion that you hold, which is even more immoral because you're literally intentionally lying in order to defame an individual.
But can I ask you?
And they're supposed to be the moral ones.
Will, is that moral ground, if they're the supposed moral ground, Are they crumbling now as well, though? Because we can now, because it's been 23 years, we can now go back and bring up literature from the past. What do I mean by that? Well, Daniel Levy, to be one of the most successful clubs in Europe, the new stadium will be a game changer. It will create revenues that we can invest in the first team and deliver success on the pitch. Deliver success on the pitch. That is a priority.
Lies, motherfucking
so
lies.
when that doesn't happen, does that now not begin to chip away at the people that hold that moral ground and say, well, hold on, this is what we were told? And then he said, the stadium will elevate us to one of the biggest and best clubs in the world. And then before this season ended, or just after it ended, beg your pardon, we shall spend the period ahead now, next season, working relentlessly, position our club for on-pitch success and football you love to come and watch. Every element of the club's operations is geared towards delivering that. So we're not arguing what our views and opinions are anymore. We're not even trying to say, look, they've got to go, they don't invest properly, or the transfer. What we're now saying is, look at what the chairman has said that's made us say, right, we'll keep buying into this club. Look at the words the chairman has put out as what's going to happen, and the opposite is happening. How can anyone argue that? And
well, if you have a confirmation bias and you're dishonest, you can argue that you have achieved success, right? That's the problem, right? When you have a confirmation bias and when you're dishonest as an individual, right, where you base things off of your feelings or you just like to be the contrarian or whatever, and you don't care about being rational, you can say whatever you want, right? That's the problem.
I just want to just be added to that is you got to remember. So you brought out those things that last quote was in his program notes against Brentford. Was against Brentford. If you remember 2 years ago against Aston Villa, when we were thinking Kane's off, we didn't know to City or whatever. He also said in those very same program notes, we're going to bring attacking football back to Tottenham Hotspur, and then hired Nuno and Conte. In those same contact note, he said we spent £250 million badly. Didn't sack the scap. Those words are just more. That's his end of season address to try and say, "Oh, don't worry, we've screwed up. I screwed up. Going to deal with it." He even says in those end of program notes, the team have failed to deliver. Not we as a club have failed to deliver. The team have failed to deliver. Those program notes aren't worth the paper they're written on. It's bullshit. That's all it is.
Brian, aren't those words though? Because now, like someone like me, who's staunch Levy out, when people want to argue me on a point, I'll say, hold on, I don't blame Daniel Levy for everything. I'm holding him accountable for what he told me. He said that. He went and did that. What do you want me to do? Then they'll come up with an excuse. I'm like, okay, what about this comment? What about that comment? And because we've got so many layers of comments now, I think people are crumbling because they can't defend it anymore and they don't know what to do.
Yep.
And it goes back to what Lee was saying. That middle ground is the biggest.
You a name. There's no middle ground. Then they'll just call you a name and they'll start hating.
Then they'll say you called them a name as well.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're liars. They're dishonest. That's the problem. You can't have a conversation with a dishonest person. It doesn't go anywhere. Right? It's like playing chess with a pigeon.
Well, Richarlison.
Yeah, Richarlison too. Right? They walk all over the board, knocking pieces over and pretend, shitting all over the place and pretending like they won.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of this? Right, I ran a poll on YouTube and I ran a poll on Twitter. The Twitter crowd and the YouTube crowd are two different places, but the outcome was the same. And this never happens, by the way. So on Twitter, basically to get to point, I asked, what do we need as fans to see or to happen for things to actually change? And the four options were: fans need to take action, Levy needs to step down, Enoch needs to sell up, I just want pretty football. The overwhelming majority said Enoch needs to sell up, which I would then argue, well, unless we take action, why would they? Same poll, same question on YouTube. Again,
Is that one on Twitter?
This one is on YouTube. This one here.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority again said ENIC needs to sell up. So when I've asked this had over 1,000 votes, and the Twitter one had about 200. But when I've asked fans, which of the 4 options is needed, we as fans take action. Levy needs to just step down. ENIC needs to sell up, or you're happy with pretty football. Everyone's saying ENIC needs to sell up. So the question I then ask is, how do ENIC sell up then? What can we do anything to make that happen? Because we're not billionaires.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? Other clubs and supporters have done it, but when it comes to us, apparently it's not achievable. You can't get there's too many people that just they're happy with the way things are, and they're happy just to go, well, yeah, they're not doing very well, but I'm not going to do anything about it. I mean, what does it take to get to the level where you get 5,000 people protesting? What does it take? Because none of the other clubs where you've seen this level of protesting have got to a point where the team's been relegated or something like that. We're in the same kind of situation as they were, but we just don't seem to want to do it. So what other choice have you got?
Well, so
I mean, what else do you want? You want I can see why people want them to sell, but as I've said a million times, this is a cash machine for these guys, right? They don't no reason to sell. Nothing whatsoever. We're not doing anything about it. So why would they sell? They don't give a 2 tosses about us. That's the point. So why would they? Even all this bullshit about Jay-Z and that. I mean, they're never going to sell to him, even if I don't know. I'm getting to the point where I just don't understand what to do. It's easy just to sit back and watch it all unfold.
This fan base is weird in the sense of, and I pointed out to the quote, I forgot the guy's name, and he put it right then and there because, and that's why I laugh whenever we boast that we're a Big Six club, because you go to any club, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Milan, even Ajax, there is an expectation, and if that expectation is not met, the people go nuts. It's in unison. The fan base goes nuts. For our fan base, I don't know. It just happened. I'm not saying this of a show, but it's almost half our fan base are a whining cheese fan base in the sense that they're content, like Levy, in making money, and the threshold is Champions League, right? And we've never tasted glory like the other 5 clubs. And because of that, we accept whatever Levy does in regards to success, with the club and money whatsoever. And then their excuse is, oh, we don't want to be in a position where hold on. Football now is not like the 1990s. Trust me, Tottenham is nowhere near to the point of going bankrupt. And even if it was going that route, someone will buy this club, even if it wasn't in trouble. From the stadium to everything that surrounds it, someone will buy the club. And so that's why I'm just dumbfounded by those who seem content where the club is, but then no ambition for glory. And I'm just like, I don't care about the financial, we saved $5 million here, whatsoever. I don't care about that. I just want to win football games. I just want to win football games. I want to have glory. If I want spreadsheet success, then I will look at my sales numbers when I work for Regions Bank. I'm a football fan.
I think every fan of Spurs is a football fan. There's no doubt. It's just the division amongst us over what to do going forward is there's. I'll tell you one thing I will say actually. Tomorrow, make sure you tune into Tottenham away. Hopefully, it's at 9:30 a.m. It might be a bit early, it might be a bit later. Brian Daigle and I are going live with some breaking news regarding the demonstrations and protest. It's big. This is big. I can't announce it. We can't talk about it until tomorrow because we get the green light to speak tomorrow. Everyone will know. Believe
Andrew
you me,
Tate's coming.
We got Andrew Tate, Top G himself. He'll be there, blowing up the high road with a cigar. No, there's no Andrew Tate.
Piers Morgan.
We've got his brother, Tristan. No. Yeah. Guys, make sure you watch tomorrow morning. Believe me, this could change the course of direction for us as a fan base. This could be a way forward. We'll find out as the weeks come up. But as it stands now with the fan base, I don't know what fans want, because I was watching whose show was it yesterday? Savas. And Sean Butler was saying how he's in the middle, but he's leaning more towards Levy out, but he's not there yet. I'm like, well, what's it going to take for you to get there then? Like, how many more years do you need? I don't believe he's Levy out, and I personally don't believe he'll ever be Levy out. I just think it's a bit of talk and just wants to keep it sweet and avoid any confrontation, which is fair enough. I get it. But what I don't understand is how much can you possibly moan and complain like he did yesterday, for example? And I think there's thousands of fans like that, by the way. This isn't on Sean Butler. I'm using an example because it was live yesterday. The amount of fans that say, I just want football people to run the football club. Let Enoch, Cullen, Levy go on the business and their property. Gentrification was the word used last night. And I just want football people to run the football club. Why can't we just have that? And
because the problem is...
Wait, Will, sorry, 1 second. All I was thinking, and then please speak. All I was thinking was, why do you think we protest? Like, what do you think we want? You know, like, if Levy said tomorrow, I'm stepping away from football completely, I won't touch it again, I think you're going to see a celebration. I think we'll have a celebration party across the road from the club shop instead of a protest. Like, we want the same thing. That's why we protest. So you not coming there and pushing a bit harder than what you're doing, because you're not really now, you're in that middle bit, like most people. It's almost like you're moaning about what you want, but you do nothing about it. And this is my gripe I've got with 70% of fans. You moan, you complain, you pretty much agree with the same issues we have, but you don't take action on it. That's the bit I don't understand. Will, feel free to...
But the problem is that they're conflating Levy out as an ideology with individual people's reasons, right? Like, most of us on this panel, I think, or all of us on this panel, I think, are Levy out, but we're Levy out for different reasons. I'm not Levy out for the same reasons Brian's Levy out. I mean, there may be overlap, right? We share a common ideology in the fact that we think Daniel Levy and Enoch need to be out of this club, right? That's the shared ideology. But he has reasons that he's Levy out. I have reasons that I'm Levy out. And if Sean has other reasons why he thinks Levy and Enoch shouldn't be the owners of the club, why can't he just come out and say, I'm Levy out? I'm not Levy out because of Stell's reasons, but I'm Levy out because of my reasons, and here are my reasons. Right? And that's how the movement grows. We don't have to all share the same reasons.
That's a great point, you know,
for being Levy out, but we all share the same ideological pinpoint of, we want Daniel Levy and Enoch to no longer be the owners of the club, right? It doesn't matter why.
It's true, because a lot of fans do say, a lot of fans who are in the middle, who don't want to say I'm Levy out, Enoch out, or I want the owners gone, a lot of them do say that we do believe now Levy's taken it as far as he can, and he needs someone different to come in and take it to that next level. So a lot of them do say that. But again, I go back to the question I have is, what are you going to do about that? Like, how are you going to push on that?
Help facilitate that, right? Help like push it over the line, because that's kind of like where it needs to be, right? Because now, if there's only 100 of us outside like the Spurs shop, does he care? Is he realistically going to go, oh, right, there's 100 people out there, I don't want to let me sell up? If there was 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, there's 60 odd thousand people going to a game. Even if 10% was out there, that would make him think about it. That would make him think about it, right? Sorry.
Yes, JP. we've said this. We've said this loads of times, right?
What you got to look at with this is, Stel, you'll know because you've been at most of them with me. When this started, when we were first doing it, whether it be at the training ground or opposite club shop, it was very, very small numbers, like ridiculously small. I mean, ridiculously small. But further and further along the line, especially the second half of this season, it got bigger. When we lost to Newcastle, and we sat down and spoke, said, you know what, we've got to go against Man U. We've never done a night game because of the logistics, people coming home from work, yada, yada, yada. We did it, and you saw the reaction there. And at Brentford, again, it keeps growing. It's still so small, the number-wise. But what I will say is Daniel Levy's helping us, not helping him. I've had, since the season stopped, probably about 30, 40 people reach out to me on social media and go, Brian, you know what, ever since you've been on social media going, leave you that, I've always been against you or not agreed. I think you go too far. Well, now I'm actually messaging you to apologise because you were right. And I've now had, so again, like you said, it's more people talking about it. And the more people talk about it, and the more people, like Will said, that have different reasons and have said, these people that are coming are now saying, right, that's it, that's it, I'm done. It's because something like Will said has triggered them to say, right, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back for me. No more can I take this. And like I said, when it's someone like myself who's been there for 15 years, it takes. People know I am with this, and a lot of people are now coming. They're having their Martin Yole moment. Let's put it that way. And the longer this goes on with Kane, wherever he's going, or not wherever, if he's going, when he's going, centre backs. I honestly reckon this season, like the first game against Manchester United, could probably be outside the biggest one we've had. I really do. If, and again, it's all ifs, the centre backs ain't been sorted, this ain't been sorted, because people have now said enough is enough. And that's now people have to do. Now it's enough of people talking and putting it on social media and going, yeah, I'm now leaving out, I'm going to do stuff. Well, you need to come and follow through and do it. If you're at the game, you need to come. Hopefully it will happen. I've said before, and still you've heard me say this many a time, and I've spoken with Will and Murray. I wish the North American fan base of Tottenham Hotspur lived here. Because there would be a lot more. Right away, we would have the numbers. That's just been mentioned in North America.
Only the ones on social media, because the ones in Facebook groups, not so much.
It's night and day. Yeah. I'll agree with it to a point, because I'll say this: where there are some sports teams that do real bad, like I'm a Knicks fan. We change how the Knicks have been respectable the last couple of years, because we have paper bag fans, people that come to games, you watch the game, you have people with paper bags. Knicks fans leaves. I'm using Knicks as an example. There've been football teams, baseball teams. When we protest, and the big difference is the media jumps on it, like the local radio stations and stuff. Like they get on it almost to the point that it's unbearable for the owner. The owner has to do something, because it's almost like European in the sense that we keep our owners accountable. We let them know we're unhappy. It gets toxic with most American sports franchises. It gets toxic. I can't think of one that are not, but for most of them, like where I'm from, New York. Oh yeah, we will let you know our displeasure.
There's also a different culture, right? Like, even though we have passionate, week in, week out, go to Green Bay, take your shirt off in below 20-degree weather and paint yourself green type of passionate fans, we don't hold as fans, I think, the ideology of you can change your wife, but you can't change your football club, right? Like, we don't have. So the owners know that if they don't provide a certain level of performance, their bottom line gets hurt, right? They know that happens, right? People will stop going to games. Tickets will stop being sold. Merchandise will stop being bought, right? And it's not just a matter, like I saw somebody in the comments say that standing on the corner with bed sheets doesn't solve anything. You must watch the boy Hotspur too much. Why would I waste my time? But the
it's a great impression.
The point I'm trying to make is that you have all of those things go together. We're protesting, we're standing on the corner with bed sheets in order to gain awareness, to have our voices heard, but we're also not buying stuff. We're not eating inside the inside the stadium. We're not doing all those things as well. And if other people would join us, if you come to the protest and you do hold a bed sheet on the corner and you stop buying merch and you stop doing this and you stop doing that, it will have an impact. If 60,000 people walk out of the stadium at 22 minutes or 44 minutes or 66 minutes or whatever period that will send a message and results will come, regardless of the fact that it's a privately owned business. Like, that is the most fallacious argument I've heard forever. It's a private business. Fans can't tell. It's different than a private business. It's not a brand, right? It's not a shoe company. Right? Even look what happened to Bud Light. Like, if you think that customer satisfaction and customer opinion doesn't impact private business, you are stupid. It absolutely does.
Every business, right? the customer,
exactly. So if they're going to treat us like customers, then we need to start acting like customers, and we need to stop buying the product. If the owners are going to treat us like customers, I'm going to say this again, write it down. We have to start acting like customers and not fans. And when we're not satisfied with the product, we stop buying it.
That's the problem. Same thing. Because what will happen?
Sorry, Lee. Really quickly, Dave-O, thank you very much for the donation, my friend. But you didn't put a message on there. Stick a message on, and I'll blood it up. Go on, Lee. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, I was just going back to what Brian was talking about a minute ago, right? And this is quite interesting. So, we're talking about this split and divide between, in and outs and in the middles, and I'm wondering whether this is the people that are sat in the middle are looking at the people, I call them on the left, out people. And certain people have painted a picture of them, and that's why they're worried about being put into that camp. And this comes back to what Brian just said. Brian just said, I used to have people that came out to me and said, you've gone too far. Now, voicing an opinion that a set of owners has failed on the pitch after 23 years, I don't see how that's going too far. Right? It's not as though Brian's abseiled down the side of the stadium and painted a cock on the wall. We put that on the roof. So I don't understand I've watched Brian for ages.
Kind of we haven't far, been. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We haven't interacted as much as I've watched him on Tottenham TV and stuff like that, and I know his stance, but I've never thought Brian's gone too far. I don't get what gone too far is. So I'm almost worried that certain people in the community have painted a picture of people over here, which is worrying people in the middle, saying, I don't want to be associated with these people. When in actual fact, all we're doing is voicing an opinion. Opinion is that they failed. They failed the football side of things. I watched the thing with Sean Butler the other day, right? And I get where he was coming from. He did sort of say, I am sort of leaning towards Levy out, but I don't believe everything should be blamed on him. And I think I said this from the first time that I came on here. If I ever met him, I'd shake his hand and say, thank you for the infrastructure that you've put into place. But the rest of it, you've not done a good job. And to be honest with you, you've done what you needed to do. Now it's time to move on and let someone with a football background make that success happen. Your infrastructure is great, but you obviously can't deal with, you can deal with business people, you can't deal with the public. And when you're running a company where you're facing off against the general public, you just simply, you're not the right person. You can't even, you can't even put a statement out that sounds like you talking, because we've all heard you talking, and most of the drivel you put out is quite clearly media PR. It's written by someone else. I see it every day of the week in the job that I do. It doesn't sound like him at all.
Here it is. It's all here.
Well, exactly. Look at the face. I mean, but that's I think that's
snippet.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. I mean, Brian, maybe you can elaborate on what some people have seen as being extreme, which I just don't see extremity in this at all.
Well, I think a lot of this happens, and I think Stel and I get a lot of it and it is me and Stel that will get the brunt of it, because when we started Tottenham Away, I was already appearing on We Are Tottenham TV, and within my first interview, or whatever you want to call it, first fan cam with them, or fan show, whatever, funny enough, I was talking about Levy out, and it wasn't spoken about. It was not spoken about in the length and channels and discussions, not just on YouTube, but on social media, and literally I kept going and going and going. And obviously people will remember I used to scream a lot. I used to come on and just scream my head off because I was so pissed off. And then people literally were like, what's he talking about? He doesn't know. And the Super League came. Once the Super League came, people started coming. Then literally the thing where they said I'd gone too far, the first thing they said that I'd gone too far was the training ground protest with me, Ryan and Graham there every morning from 7 o'clock in the morning, where just the three of us to begin with us. Oh, you're an idiot, look what you're doing, you're making it embarrassing, doing this, you're doing that. I get lots targeted at me because obviously We Are Tottenham TV a lot, because I attend and help promote the protests. I get a lot come my way, and I always knew I was going to. Because of, look, when we put ourselves out there and we're on social media, we're just Tottenham fans. You look at what celebrities or other people get in their life, whatever they do. I seem to be an easy target for them, and I take it on the chin. Anything I do is taking it too far. I got told.
See, my level of taking it too far is not voicing an opinion.
No, but this is it. Apparently, these people have said that the Levy protests, we have all been drunk. Don't drink, not because they're there. Literally don't drink, whether it be for the same reason as me, health, religion. Apparently we're all doing drugs. We're dealing coke there.
Brian.
But you see what I mean now? This is the point. People are painting a picture of you that is keeping people from the middle away from being over there because they don't want to be associated. It's almost like they're... I hate to say this, and I apologise, but you're almost... It's almost like people are painting them out to be like extremists.
They
like
lie.
You're hearing,
that's what I said. They lie.
Yeah, exactly. When it's just not the case. It's just a person with an opinion that says these guys have failed on the football side of things for the last 23 years. We've shown no progression to the point where my opinion is that we need new management at the top, which other clubs have done, and it's happened. So I don't get why they're painting such a picture.
Lee, Brian and I, guys, 1 minute. Brian and I, when we were invited on the Fighting Cock podcast, one of the biggest Spurs podcasts in the community.
Yeah,
and it was purple and gold, Levy out. Flav, top bloke, asked us to come on. He was really good host, good to us, and he just wanted to understand what is this protest, what is purple and gold, because it's a conversation that needs to be had because it's getting more and more traction. We went on there, did the podcast. Flav didn't necessarily agree with everything that we had to say, but some stuff he's like, yeah, fair play. Other stuff he wasn't on board with. That's not the point. It was about, let's hear this side of the argument as well. It goes live. He puts the link on Twitter and Reddit, and it was 100 messages of absolute gutter. Stelios is a paedophile. Stelios is a rapist. Brian's an alcoholic. It's like, oh my God, man. Like, it's right. Now a bigger podcast has given them a voice, because none of the big podcasts, Last One Spurs, Cowlin, none of them have had actual Levy outers, the protesters on their shows. None of them. Flav was the only one in the first one. So the people that are against the protests or that side of the argument, They saw that finally a bigger channel, by the way, I don't include We Are Tottenham TV in this because they've been doing it since day one, but the one that a lot of the middle ground watches, the big channels that the middle ground watches mostly, as soon as we appeared on one of them, they panicked. Like, oh my God, this is really growing now. That's how I interpreted it. Discredit it straight away. We've got to just go after their credibility. And it was hell. And I messaged Flav and I said, dude, I never came on the podcast for this. Like, this is insane. And he said to me, do you want me to take it down? I said, no, I don't need to take it down, Flav, but I want you to understand this is what we deal with by holding this position. Because when we said it on your podcast, we get a lot of abuse. This is what we're talking about. So I'm glad it's happened for you to see, but I'm not glad because we're getting the brunt of it. So,
but that's more extreme than your opinion.
100%. 100%. That's what I was saying earlier about the moral position.
Yeah. There's no argument. They can't argue. They just have to use extreme views to discredit you. That's the issue. And it's just getting to a really silly place now.
It almost goes back to high school where cliques will give labels to a certain group of people. They're this, these people are that, and whatsoever.
Literally school.
Yeah, my question to you is, because you guys are there in the UK, it almost seems to me that most people who are on Levy Inners are more upper class, maybe more money than the middle class.
I think all the people that are Levy in, all they see is that Levy has given us a shiny training complex and a shiny stadium, and that's all they want to care about, right? But the problem with that is we're now starting to get people of the opinion that would prefer to have not built the stadium, stayed at White Hart Lane and spent all that money on the team. Now people are doing a complete 180 and going, actually, I don't want the stadium anymore. I'd rather spend all that money on the team.
I just want to go back to what
Brian.
I just want to go back.
I'm going to come to you. Yeah, Brian. I'm going to come to you just very quickly. Everyone watching the show, there's 300, 350, God knows. Please like, subscribe our channel. Please, please, please follow Tottenham on tour. Brian Daigle, Ben Kaufman, Ryan Isaacs, Danny, all the crew there. Anna Southview, Coys, Haas, Ashmatic, Marlon. That channel needs to be much bigger than what it is, man. Please support them boys. Top people. Brian, I'll go to you. Then I want to bring in Haas because he's sitting there patiently.
Yeah, no, he's itching.
He's itching to say something, man.
I just want to go back to what you were saying about Flav and the podcast we did, because this just goes to show where we are. Because, like you said, when he tweeted it, I don't watch Reddit. I don't read Reddit at all. I don't have to use it. I don't want to know. It's vile, blah, blah. So when he tweeted it, I saw all the hideous stuff that was being said about you and me. But it just goes to show where this divide is again. I was speaking about at the beginning. I tweeted the exact same thing, saying, guys, go check it out. Me and you were on the Fighting podcast speaking about Levy out and having a debate with someone or a chat with someone that wanted to. And all the people that were Levy out were like, oh, brilliant, this is amazing. We're going to be spoken about on a bigger channel. Brilliant, Flav, for doing this. It's so good to see someone giving it airtime. It's so good that a big channel is coming out. So we were, the reception you and I got and Flav was getting from doing it was really like, oh, wicked, let's break bread.
Flav, you're a disappointment. Flav, you're a big letdown. Yeah. It's like, what? 10 years of podcasting, how is it letdown?
Exactly. Whereas we did it, the people that were Levy out were like, brilliant, I'm so happy that Flav did it. I love that. It's good to see. This is where this, and I keep calling it a civil war. The Tottenham Hotspur fan base are having a civil war, and it's all aimed at one man, or all because of one man, shall I say?
Yeah, well, that's our argument, isn't it? This culture is a result of his decision making. Haas, listen, you've been popping your head up on lots of podcasts and channels lately. You're in the thick of it. With the toxicity that's happening across the fan base, and you've heard a lot of different people talk about it now. What is it going to take for this to end? Because I don't know if you saw earlier, we put a poll up. We did a poll on Twitter and YouTube, and there was combined, it was about 1,500, something like that, votes combined. And the overwhelming answer was that ENIC have to sell up. That's the only way this goes away. So my question is, Haas, How do we get them to sell up? Because we can't buy it. What do we do?
It's but first of all, thanks for having me on, Stel. Obviously, I'm trying to party late. Literally got home with my missus and set up everything, good to go. But look, and welcome to everyone as well, by the way. First of all, I just want to say, as YouTubers here, you know, we're talking about Spurs and stuff. That is what we should be talking about is Spurs, not about the divide in the community, the divide between the fans and everything else. It should be just about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I just think we spend so much time talking about the divide, you know, people having differences of opinions constantly, people bickering, people arguing, social media wars, this, that, and the other. I think it just needs to stop, and we all need to realize that we're all after the same thing here. We're all after, you know, a successful football club, to make this club great again, to make this club successful again. Okay, I think the only way that will sort of end the so-called war between factions and everything else will be once, you know, we have something different in the hierarchy, and that, you know, obviously we're going to say the common denominator in everything is Daniel Levy, the owner, Joe Lewis, everything else. But in my opinion, will it really change everything if they go, in terms of what people think of the club? Because there's always going to be a difference of opinions, and having a difference of opinion, sometimes it's a good thing. There wouldn't be no debate if everyone thought along the same lines.
Now, let me ask you a question on that. So this was something that was asked to me, and this is how I responded. So tell me what you think. Someone said to me, will it change though? So I said, I know what the last 23 years have been like. I don't want to risk that again. And I don't see that ever changing. So I'm prepared to take my chances as a fan and give someone else a crack at it. And if they're bad, I'll be the same again. Just like fans were fed up with Scholar, just like fans wanted Sugar out, just like fans are doing it now. I think it comes down to how much more time as a fan do you want to give this ownership, who've had the longest out of any Spurs ownership of any Premier League club during Premier League history? How much more time do you want to give them before you say, I'm prepared to take a risk? Because whoever comes in is a risk. There's no guarantee. We could get Mike Ashley. We don't know.
I don't want to give them any more time. For me, it's been 23 years. That's my personal view on it, is that there needs to be a change. There needs to be a change of ownership. There needs to be a change of culture at the club. Everything needs to change. And it needs to happen now. It needs to happen as soon as possible. But what I am saying is, will there be a change amongst the fans once there is a change at the football club? I don't think there will be.
Once we start winning, there will be.
Yes, there might be, but there's always going to be a difference of opinions, whether it's, you know...
Sure, there'll be a difference of opinion, but I mean, as far as the direction of the club, I mean, if we were Man City right now and we had just won, you know, 4 out of the last 6 league titles, or even maybe more than that, I don't think we'd be bickering about Daniel Levy needs to go, right? That wouldn't even be a conversation, right? Yeah.
Oh, we'd be bickering about, you know, which manager we should be bringing in. You know,
but that's a football argument.
It'll be different arguments. It won't be, we need to change the hierarchy. It will be, you know, we need to change the management. We need to change the other sort of elements of the football club, but not necessarily the hierarchy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but Haz, I think this is the most extreme, right? Trying to get the hierarchy out and changed is
the hardest change.
It's the hardest change. And I think most of the other thing you could put in the category of being, you know, football banter about disagreeing on a manager or players or something like that. Yeah. But just, I think to calm my opinion, and just my opinion, is that if we got new owners in, even simple little things like communication with the fans, not these prolonged, you know, silent times where no one knows what's going on. This is where the frustration bubbles from. Even if they are not doing things right or not getting it right straight away, at least communicating with the fans, having a plan and trying to execute that would calm the fan base down. Because this is the frustration. This is why we're taking it on each other, because we don't know what's going on. right? If a week has gone by where everything has seemed to have gone from, level 100 to 150 in the eruption scale, just because we've had nothing from the club. The only thing that we've had come out of the club so far is there's going to be a meeting today about Harry Kane. That's it.
I agree with you. There is,
There is
no transparency. We need transparency at the club.
Absolutely.
We need the club to come out and say, look, this is our stance on things. If the Joe Lewis thing is what's holding us back from signing players, then come out and say, look, the club are waiting to see what's going to happen. Until such time, we can't make any big signings. We'll understand. We'll be like, all right, cool, fair enough. Now we know why you're not signing players. But what's going on now is by not saying anything, everyone's sort of drawing their own conclusions on things. So it's a bit like Spaghetti Junction. Everyone's saying this, everyone's saying it's that. And then it's just creating, mega fucking, toxicity. Apologies for my language still, but it's just creating mega.
Right, I've already sworn about 3 times at the start. It's okay.
I think the other problem with it is, and again, this all comes down to frustration, right? If we were a club that had no money and we're making these, what I class as pocket change signings, we're trying to get these over the line, right? I could understand, but we do have money. We're nowhere near the FFP rules in terms of how much we've got to spend. The club has the resources to spend. They just don't seem to want to spend. And that comes down to, this. Now everyone's going, oh, yeah, we're going to sign these 2 defenders, but we're waiting for the Kane money. Oh, sorry, that's bullshit. Sorry, Stel, I've spoiled again, but
it's interesting you mentioned FFP.
We don't need Kane's money. We don't need Kane's money to spend £35 million on Van der Ven.
Just really quickly, Has, before you start.
But because Gentleman's telling you why, that's the frustration. It's everyone wants to know the why, right? When something bad happens to anyone, especially when something you don't know what happens, the frustration always comes from not knowing why something happened. And the biggest case of that is, I'm not going into detail, but basically I've been through a situation this week with a very close friend of mine where something terrible that you could never want to think of has happened. And we were speaking the other day and we were saying, it's not the I'm frustrated. It's not the frustration of it happening. It's the now why that happened and no one's telling me why it is. That's the thing that's going to, play on my mind for the rest of my life until I find out. That's the issue. And that's what Tottenham do to us. We know that they can. We've got the facts to say that you should be able to do this. You can do this. You can't do this. We can make that assumption, but they won't tell us why they're not doing it. Why are they not? If they come out and just say, right, Van der Ven, we've got personal terms are all done. The reason why it's stalling is because, they want us to pay all the money up front and we want to pay it over 2 years. I would say, okay, all right, you've got a difference of opinion. My opinion is you should just pay the money. Stop haggling, but they don't, and that's the frustrating thing. It's not knowing, which is what's causing everyone to get.
It could be something simple, Lee, right? It could just be that fact that they're waiting to buy another defender or something like that until we get a defender and you can have him.
But you see,
other clubs seem to be transparent. European clubs are very transparent. To mine, you find this out, this. Oh, we're talking this player, blah blah. But in Tottenham, it's just complete radio silence.
You don't hear.
Yeah, but you get more information from.
This goes back to what I said earlier. This all goes back to what I said earlier. You can't be saying to the fans, we will create revenues that is a game-changing stadium for success on the pitch, and then we're told we can't invest for success on the pitch because we need to sell players. That means your comment was a lie. And then they say, in the summer, a couple of the springtime, every element of the club's operations is geared toward delivering that being success on the pitch. It's like, you can't say these things and then we're made to believe because you don't speak to us that we can't do what we said because we need to sell Kane now. It's like, but you never.
But something like that.
Those promises to come true. You're a liar.
Something like that statement. That statement still sets an expectation, right? We all have this expectancy now that's something that's going to happen. Right, and as every day goes by, that's not happening, the frustration's rising,
and then the frustration carries over to, and I feel bad for him, but then I don't feel bad for him because we'll talk about this. Ange, you saw everybody's seen the picture of Ange's face. You could tell he's already frustrating and little cracks.
He's already gone grey.
Yeah, when they ask him questions.
To be fair, most Greek men are in their 50s are depressed, if I'm going to be honest with you. So that it can just be a cultural thing.
Just stop smashing plates.
Centre backs in, they pose him a question, and
Yes,
he
you're
knows. He knows he doesn't have his setbacks, and you see that face. And if I see my manager already with that face, now I'm coming into the new season, I'm like, my manager is showing a little bit of frustration, and he is supposed to be, yeah.
He's only just come in. He's meant to be excited and buoyant, and
we do it to every manager.
Of course, for me, I'm gonna feel a certain way because if my manager feels that way, I'm gonna feel that way. And so, and for the same reasons, we don't have center backs. You just put that quote. We're gonna do everything. I'm ready on that mindset of we are failing. We set up our coach to fail. We set up our manager to fail
every single time.
But it's not even just that. It's even the Harry Kane issue in and of itself, right? Like the players that are there aren't dumb, right? They know what's going on. They've seen the links, they've seen the Twitters, they've seen the tweets too. It's just human nature. There is no way that the players in that squad can be comfortable, can be at ease, wondering if Kane's going to leave or Kane's going to go, right? Even if they're having conversations, personal conversations with each other, which I'm sure they are, right? There's no way that anybody can be at peace until there is a conclusion, till there is something happens. Whether either way, either stays where he goes, but something needs to happen. Otherwise, the team cannot move forward. The coaching staff can't be at ease. The players can't be at ease. There's always going to be a stressful tension present until decisions are made. And dragging things out, right? Whatever it is, if you're holding something back from your wife, or it's hiding things or keeping things inside that causes stress and causes anxiety, right? Like once you've gotten it out there, once you've said it, right, whatever it is, you just feel like a ton of bricks have been lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah, it's a weight off your shoulders.
And that's what we need. But we need to do it. I mean, Jason's right too in the super chat. The issues of applying common sense in regards to toxic opinions. When doesn't apply to most people on social media. It doesn't. Speaking of people on social media, Stel, you can't hold your camera down here when you're taking pictures because it looks like the back of your chair are your ears. And they look ginormous.
But I got your attention. I got your attention. Thank you, Jason, for the super chat. Hass, you were wanting to jump in.
I was just going to touch on. I can't remember who mentioned FFP, but it was mentioned.
It was Lee.
Okay, Lee, you mentioned FFP. Good point, because Daniel Levy not too long ago mentioned. He spoke about FFP and how he's trying to set up the club to be sustainable in the future when the rules are tightened, and that we can work within the parameters and stuff. What's happened to that? Because all I'm seeing is everyone else is spending money. Villa, City, Arsenal, everyone is spending money, but we're just being left behind. Okay, because we're
the only ones that are going to be ready for it. That's right. We're the only one thinking about it.
What I'm trying to say is,
no one else
is this another excuse for us not spending money?
Yes.
It can't be though, because I think the I might be wrong about the number, but I think it was something like we can spend up to something like 350 million to be still within the range of FFP. 400. I thought, I was actually going to say 400, but I thought no, that might be going too high. But we're not talking about spending 400. We're talking about spending at most 85 million on two players that we desperately need. Right? Desperately need. And I'm even getting people coming out now saying, you can't blame Ange, blah, blah, blah. You can't blame. Well, no one's blaming Ange. Everyone feels sorry for him. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, there's no way that anyone can come up with the argument that he can work with the players that he's got at the club right now because they do not fit his system. Therefore, even if we can't spend that, we've got enough defenders as it is, well, then you're setting yourself up to fail because we can't play Ange's system because the defenders can't play that way. because they're not quick enough, whatever.
It's always been the problem.
Therefore, don't blame him. Yeah, don't blame him. Blame the club for deciding that they don't need to spend the money. And that comes back to the point. Well, you can't blame them for everything. Well, yes, you can, because they've decided they don't need they don't need these players. When we quite blatantly do, it's it is, and that's again where frustration comes from. But it makes no sense to me that people saying that we can't afford to do it. Yes, we can afford to do it. At the end of the day,
I mean, it was the same argument with Conte, though, right? It was the same. We didn't have the wing backs in order to play that system. We signed Pedro Porro, and then 2 weeks later they sacked Conte. I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same argument that we had for why you couldn't play Conte, regardless of the style of football that he played. He wasn't given the tools, right? Like if I need a socket wrench, you don't go to the dollar store and buy me one that as soon as I put any type of torque on it, it snaps. Yes, it's a socket wrench, but it's not the tool to get the job done, right? That's why we couldn't blame Conte then, and the same thing is happening for Ange now. It may not be the fullbacks; it's the center backs now.
It's like he's trying to run a 3-star Michelin restaurant with
we know that
Gordon Ramsay, but get all your produce from Asda.
Yeah,
that's what it's like. And then moaning when people say it don't taste very nice.
Or a Formula One pit crew with tools from Walmart, right? Like that doesn't.
The problem I have with it, right? Everyone's saying, "Oh, look, Ange might be able to get a tune out of these defenders, everything else." Right. First of all, these defenders, some of them have been there since the Poch era. Yep. But the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, and maybe 2 or 3 others have played under 2 elite managers, defensive-minded elite managers, and couldn't defend. It's plain to see,
let's quickly look at it. Let's quickly look at it, right? So we are Tottenham TV. They put out a tweet. I copied it. I'm not going to take the credit. They said, since Spurs signed Toby Alderweireld in 2015, 8 years ago for 12 million, our centre-back transfer business for the last 8 years has been nothing in 2016, Sanchez in 2017, 2018 nothing, 2019 nothing, Joe Rodon in 2020, Romero in 21, Longley on loan 22, and nothing so far. So that's 2 actual signings, Sanchez and Romero, 1 good, 1 bad, and then 2 other players that are a waste of time. When you look at the comparison of spending across all clubs in the top 6 in 2017, we're rock bottom.
Yep. Rock bottom.
We are 150 million
off
Arsenal.
Hierarchy, our management insists.
Look at the comparison between Tottenham and Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Other managers, manager after manager, can come in and get a tune out of the players. I'm sorry, but there's people. This is unacceptable. It's diabolical that there's people out there saying give Ange the freedom or time to work with these players. No,
second most goals conceded in Premier League history. Second worst.
I had never been that still.
If you're a manager coming in,
second worst, right,
you'll do your due diligence, right? You and your team or whoever's there will do your due diligence and say, right, I want information on every single player at the football club, who's performed this, that, and the other. He will have done that when he went to the club. He will see that the defense is no good. So I'm under no illusions that Ange himself wants defenders, but it's just that he's not being given defenders. Now, if he went to a Chelsea or someone like that, or somewhere like that, he'd be given the tools. Look at.
They've just signed a centre back, right? It has.
They've signed Disasi from Monaco, and in turn, our the player that we were interested in from Southampton. Yeah, he's gone to Monaco. Right, so Monaco. So figure that one out. I mean,
at this stage, I think we'd have a better defence if we kept Vertonghen and Alderweireld and still been playing them at an older age. I think we'd have a better defence.
I want to come on to the defenders, guys, but there's one thing I do want to quickly tackle, only because there's a super chat for it. Let me go quickly find it from Rob Ayres, where he says, successful teams do not sell their best players. Now, this is reference to Harry Kane. Thank you for the super chat, Rob. Now, look, the Harry Kane situation, people are saying, oh, it's okay, we can still function. We'll find goals elsewhere, and losing 30 goals isn't a big deal because Richarlison's going to step up and Kulu's going to score and Solomon's going to score. And look, it's all speculation. Personally, I saw Bale lose. We didn't improve. I saw Modric and Van der Vaart lose. We didn't improve. I saw Berbatov lose. We didn't improve. The only time I ever saw us improve was when we kept Poch for 3-4 years and we completely rebuilt it. But then we got lucky because Kane come through the academy. Well, it's not luck. We developed him. So when I look at the Kane situation, some fans are arguing that, you've got to realise players can't be at a club forever. Most players move on. And then someone argued by saying, yeah, but Adams never left Arsenal. Terry never left Chelsea. Gerrard never left Liverpool. Totti. So it's a case of, well, hold on. Had we have done enough to convince Kane that we're going to become a winning club, would he be in this situation? For me, the answer is no. I mean, we can debate it. Is Kane leaving because we aren't ambitious? And he is. Gerrard stayed at Liverpool. He won everything but the league. Lampard won everything at Chelsea. Totti won the league with Rome. I think is one of their first league titles in God knows how many years. So I think the situation is different. But statistically,
it's not only
statistically,
it's different.
Tottenham would have finished 2 points above the relegation zone without Kane's goals. Without Kane's goals, we're 2 points above relegation. So is losing Kane okay to anyone? Because to me, I think it's a disaster. But I understand that he's got to go.
I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go. And this, hold on, I want to argue. I want to argue the logic in the super chat.
Brian,
Successful teams don't.
Brian, I'll come to you after Will, unless you need to speak now.
Successful teams don't sell their best players. This is not true, right? Liverpool sold Coutinho and then won the league 2 years later, right?
But look what they spent the money on.
Barcelona sold. That's what I'm saying. But the argument here, the statement here is successful teams don't sell their best players. That's not true, right? That is false. That is a fallacious argument, right? You have Barcelona sold Neymar, who was at the time one of their best players, right? There's a lot of teams that sell their top players in order to move on or to kick up another level. It happens all the time.
All right, so the question then is, so the question is then, let's expand on what Robert says, and I'll come to Brian. So really, the statement, if we're going to say we can agree with it, is the best clubs don't sell their best players, then spend the money the way we did with Gareth Bale on 9 dross players, rather than sell your best player but bring Alisson and Van Dijk to the club, right?
Or they know when to sell their best players.
Well, I'll have it in mind. I need to. All right, I'm going to say this, and I need to go to bed as well. I need some beauty sleep before we do our thing still tomorrow morning. So yeah, I was going to mention the exact transfer, and the thing is, the difference is when big teams getting prepared to sell their best player, they plan for what they do with the money. They have a plan of what they're going to do after to soften that blow. You look at it when Liverpool lost Coutinho, the world needed their goalkeeper was way below par, and they needed a rock in the centre back. Bang, done. Right now, when we go to sell Kane, do we get a striker to replace? Do we use that money to get centre backs? Do we use that money to bring Alex Scott? Do we do what we normally do and buy 7 players with that big money rather than buying quality? Big teams always plan. They always know they could have had, like when De Gea came into, I use this one all the time. Van der Sar sold his last 2-year track. Man used this 2 years. We are scouting our goalkeeper. We are using this 2 years ready for the successor. So when this does happen, it's ready to go. We are never ready to go. We are never ready. Well, like you said, the Bow deal 7. When Jose came in, 7. Conte last season, 7. It's quantity over quality. If we get that Kane money and people think we're going to spend 100 million on defenders, it ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. If someone thinks we're going to come in and spend 80 million on a striker, it ain't going to happen. They're just going to bottle it.
Do you know what's funny about what you're saying? Do you know what's hilarious about what you're saying? When did we sell Gareth Bale? Does anyone? I don't remember the year.
2014.
15, 16? No, 15. No, way
13,
before 15, sorry.
13, 14 season.
Yeah.
13.
Okay. About 10 years ago. Look what I pulled from the archives. It's Alan Sugar and Gary Lineker having a row about how the money's going to be spent. And here we are, 10 years later, And then
Same
people
thing.
say,
But that,
And
why
that's,
would you want a
and
new
that's
owner?
the thing you worry about, right?
10 years,
15, that's right.
we're
wait,
in that
JP,
same
I'm just going, guys, I'm going to go Will, Wicked, Bassinia, JP, Wicked, about Mari, Paz, all good seeing you, Lee. Everyone have a great evening.
Brian.
I'll see you tomorrow still. And as always, Levy
we got.
out.
Yeah, Brian.
See you later, Brian. Just to update on the Harry Kane situation. This is the latest we've got from Sky Sports. Bayern are significantly short of Tottenham's valuation after a London meeting. Bayern convinced Kane wants to join them, but there's a valuation gap between the two parties. Spurs record goal scorer Harry Kane is open to speak, informing to German champions Paris Saint-Germain believe they're also in the mix. Kane's got 12 months left. That's what we know. Bayern is short of the valuation, and it's just saying that the valuation gap is roughly 20 million, but negotiations continue. Now, I've got two major concerns with this, guys. Tottenham insist they want a buyback clause on the transfer as well. Now, let me show you
the Premier League.
Should Kane return to Premier League? Yeah, buyback clause. Should he return? So basically, we get first dibs. Right, I've got two concerns with this, and let's discuss it. My first concern is this is going to drag on, and as it drags on, we get closer to the end of the window. Less time to spend that money, which is what I think Levy wants to do. I think he's setting it up for that. More instability in our first team, like Will said. Players gossiping, talking. How can anyone be comfortable? So that's my first issue. Is this is going to drag on? Secondly, and this is again, I think this will make good debate. I believe the longer we leave it, the desperate Levy will become, because he's going to end up getting zero if he doesn't get this deal done now. So if I were Bayern Munich and you drag it out with me, and I'm prepared to, let's say, right. Well,
Can I just
take it to the
counter-argument
last day.
that?
Yeah. Well, listen, that's the debate. That's the debate. Go for it.
Let me just counter that. I think there's risks on both sides here, because I've also seen that apparently Bayern are willing to pay a figure, but that is only based on Kane winning things like the Champions League and the league and stuff like that. Now, Levy's never going to accept that, right? How can you say, well, we'll pay you this money, but only if Kane wins the league or the Champions League and stuff, when that outcome is based on the whole team, not just that single player. You can't put all that weight on a single player, so he's not going to accept that. But the other argument I have is, or the counter argument to that is, yes, they may try to string it out, and yes, they may see Levy becoming worried and break and give them the price rather than letting them go for free. But on the flip side of that as well, Bayern, what the fuck was that? Bayern will. There's a risk there. Bayern. If they say, right, okay, well, we're not going to pay you the money. We're not going to pay you the money that you want, etc., etc. We'll just get him on a free. We'll talk to him in January. I'm sorry, but you're not going to be the only club that is going to want Harry Kane for free next year. You're then going to be put into a pool of lots of clubs that will pay him whatever he wants for his services. So this is going to get strung out, absolutely. It's just dependent on who breaks first. And I think what will happen is they'll come to... It's like an episode of Porn Stars. It's like, I'll give you 1,000, I'll give you 100 quid. Not that type of porn stars, guys.
Pawn stars, not porn stars.
Porn stars. Anyway,
it's what show
porn over
talking about?
What is he even talking
Go
about?
to a pawn shop.
They're porn stuff.
Porn. Anyway, I think if Levy comes down a bit and they come up a bit and we meet in the middle, I think that's where it will end up. But you're right, Stel. It's going to drag on until someone, either they come to common ground or someone breaks. And that is not going to be until the last day. And I think they're both at risk. I don't think the risk is all on one side.
Does anyone here think that we could be in a situation where Levy actually says, do you know what? Go on a free then. You're staying for a year. Does anyone think
I hope not.
Levy will accept that, though, as the chairman?
I don't think he'll throw away money like that.
I think
he
will.
scrimps and scrapes over 5 million for a defender.
Yeah, but you look what he did with Eriksen too. Right?
I think he would risk it. I think he would risk it in the hope that he might get Champions League next season.
He'll sell him in January for £20 million. That's what he'll do.
But if and I was thinking that, but for us to get Champions League next year with Kane in the side, surely he'd go, well, here's 2 centre-backs, bang.
Yes,
Give us every
there is
opportunity
that.
to get to the frigging Champions League.
The reason I say that, though, JP, is next season 5 go through to the Champions League. So there's that extra spot. It's not just the top 4. So,
but it's
Yeah,
based
but
on
we're
the
about eighth in the
coefficient.
we're about eighth down the line.
This year we finished 8th.
You're right. We are 8th down
letting
the line.
60
There's
odd
6
frigging
English
goals.
teams in front of us. So
It's a big
Letting
gamble
60
because the windfall from Champions League, if we get into the Champions League, I reckon will be greater than what we possibly get for Kane. But
Not now.
Sorry?
Not now. Not
No?
if we sold him now. I
I'm
think
not
someone
sure.
worked it out the other day. It's something like 30 million euros or 40 million euros or something like that. Unless you get to the final, then you start getting the big money. Otherwise, it's a loss.
But one's a risk, one's a guarantee. If you sell Kane, it's guaranteed money. Champions League money is a risk.
If you qualify and you win all of your group matches, you get about 40 million euro, right?
Yeah.
If you get to the round, TV revenue? That's including TV revenue. That's including FIFA coefficient revenue, and it's and the prize money from winning each game, right?
What about match day revenue, food, drinks, tickets? That's
match day revenue,
3 home games.
Match day revenue, regardless of the competition, whether it's Conference League, Europa League, or Champions League, is the same. It's the same.
Yeah, but that's extra games. But that's extra games.
Only if you don't qualify for Europe at all, right? But the argument, if you qualify for Conference League or Europa League, the prize money and the TV money is far lower, right? There's a huge gap. You could never. So you can't throw match day revenue into a Champions League discussion, because that's what we're talking about, right? Qualifying for Champions League in order to get enough money to come back. And match day revenue, the profit off of a match day, because there's costs included with that, it's only about £1 million per game, right? So you're talking, 3 games in the Champions League, 4 games in the Champions League. 3 if you only make it to the group, 4 if you make it out of the group, you're talking £4 million. So it's not a huge
question
difference.
then. If we don't sell Kane, do we get defenders in?
Well, we need to get defenders in anyway, right?
No,
Even if we keep Kane.
I reckon if we keep Kane...
What Haz is saying is, if we need the Kane money to buy defenders and we don't get the Kane money...
We don't need the Kane money to buy defenders.
I don't believe it. Yeah, I don't believe
it. Need it. We know we don't need the money, but will the club, will Levy spend money on defenders if Kane stays?
But we're missing the point, though. We're missing the point. We're all focusing on Kane when we've got Sanchez on his way out. We've got Højbjerg on his way out. There's money there coming in to cover those defenders, right?
But are they going out? They're still here.
Yeah,
I know. But again, this is another Levy tactic, isn't it? Right? Leave it to the last moment, make people desperate. I don't get it. I really don't. And even himself has said that all of the transfers is done in like the last week of the transfers. Well, that's a stupid philosophy, and that's the frustration. We you get another one. Oh, here we go. Chelsea's just bought another player. That's the first I'm hearing about it. Literally 10 minutes ago, I never knew this was happening, and now they're buying a player.
Look at all the strikers that we've been linked with on Twitter too. Look at all the strikers that they say that we're looking at if we sell Kane. They're all
that's
garbage.
Just media. That's the media.
I know, but
using us as a joke.
It's all like they've played 1 year. They have no experience. Maybe they scored 15 goals in some, Eastern European league.
And they're Kane's replacement.
And they're Kane's replacement. Yeah, like it's silly, stupid. But we should be signing we have to sign center backs whether Kane stays or goes, whether he goes on a free or not next season. That has to be that should have been the priority this season coming in. And we were already linked with Van de Ven and Tapsoba way before Kane rumors of him going to Bayern ever started.
Just personal terms agreed and everything.
Yeah.
So those stories have died. Those stories have died.
Oh, they've gone silent.
I didn't hear about
completely silent. And the thing is, as well,
they're haggling over £5 million. That's why.
Oh God, that number again. I reckon he's got it tattooed on his arse. 5 million. But anyway, so the Kane, I was sort of the same opinion before Kane. I said maybe Levy will keep him in the hope that we have a good start to the season, showing Kane that we're looking to progress by buying centre backs and having a good start to the season. Maybe he would think, okay, maybe something is happening here. Maybe I will not go abroad. Maybe I will sign a new contract. Now, Kane has said, I'm not signing a contract. I'm completely of the opinion that we should cash in on him now. I don't believe that we should be shafted and he should be going for less than some other players are going, like what Bayern wanted to pay for him. I think he's worth the money. But keeping him on a free now when we know he's not going to sign a contract. The Champions League thing doesn't work for me.
But then what do you do, Lee?
To get that?
But then what do you do? By the way, quick super chat from Phil P. He says Spurs are like a homeless bloke in an Armani suit. Woo! That's pretty funny.
Listen, we want 190 to 100 million. They want to pay 75 million. Meet him somewhere in the middle. Come to an agreement. We're both happy. Move on. Harry Kane's move on. We move on. We've got money. It's done. It's the stubbornness of these people negotiating that causes it to go on for too long.
Yeah, but what happens? Levy likes to play, doesn't he? He likes to win that game.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
What happens
that's the problem. You can't do like that.
Doesn't matter, does it?
What happens if we get to the last week of the transfer window? Harry Kane's not signing, like you said. He doesn't want to be here, and he basically. We're in a situation where Bayern say, right, we're paying 60 million, 65 million, 70, whatever it is. We're not going above that. It is now take it or leave it. Then what do you do, Lee? Because on the one hand, you're saying we shouldn't get shafted
if
on
it's
price.
Levy.
No, that's what you would do. Because you're saying on the one hand, you don't think we should be shafted on price. But on the other hand, you're saying he's got to go. Well, if Bayern know that Kane's got to go, they're not going to budge, are they? This is all
no, but then they're not. But then there's no guarantee they're going to get their man. If they really want him, come to a compromise on the price. If they don't want him, then they're going to run the risk of not getting him in January or not getting him next year.
What's more powerful, JP? What's more powerful?
And then PSG will jump in at the last hour and give us the money. I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question. I don't know the answer to the question, Stel.
But they can say to Kane, "We'll give you 30 million. You sign in January."
Yeah, but then someone...
And then they get him for 30 million.
But that's great, but you've then got all of the time between then and January for someone else to come in and say, well, we'll give him 50 million.
Yeah, Real Madrid.
The checkbook is blank. Barcelona. Harry Kane's checkbook in January is blank, mate. They can write whatever. Yeah, United, PSG, Real Madrid could come back in.
Well, English clubs
can't
be involved until the end of the season. Only non-English clubs can get involved in January.
Personally,
here's my question. JP, question. I've got a question for you. What's more powerful, Bayern Munich's will to bring in Harry Kane or Daniel Levy's will to make sure he gets paid a significant transfer fee for Levy? Because one of them's going to have to give in on their willpower on this. Which one's got the stronger will? What's more important, Bayern getting Kane or Levy getting his money? What is more important to which club has a more important position?
I think if Bayern don't have Kane, they still win the league. If they'll win their local cup, stuff like that. The only thing that they want to do well in, I guess, with Kane as their asset, would be the Champions League, right?
Yep.
And that would be the only. But again, there's no guarantees for that, like in any way whatsoever.
But there's something interesting. Whereas Real Madrid, when they go in and they look at a club that's lesser than them, they want to win out, and they got Modric and Bale from us. For Bayern, for their fan base, and for them, if they don't up their ante and get Harry Kane, and speaking to other people who are Bayern, it's almost humiliating, even though they're going up Daniel Levy, because we see how disrespectful people have been, their media, their fans, not all. Towards Tottenham. For them, Bayern is going to hear it from their fan ownership. Like, you're telling me you couldn't pull Harry Kane for Tottenham? Even though they know it's tough, but it's like, we're Bayern Munich. This is Tottenham. So for them, for their ego, for their press, they're going to come home walking all sad that they didn't pull the big fish against Tottenham. So for them,
and that's what they did with Bale, right?
We've got some breaking news here. Breaking news, guys. It's exactly what we're talking about. It actually goes to what Lee said about meeting in the middle. Gary Jacob, who broke the story originally, everyone says is a reliable source, and he's now put a message out saying Bayern are confident of signing Harry Kane after holding positive talks with Tottenham. Bayern have signalled they're ready to go up to £85 million, 99 million euros before they return to Germany. So they're not going back until they put in a higher bid. Spurs would want an offer of about 100 million. So Bayern are prepared to go halfway. It's whether Spurs now whether prepared to go halfway.
If I'm Levy, I'm not. If that was me,
for the benefit of the good,
that would be my compromise. You can't get what you want. Yeah, absolutely.
For the benefit of the team, the benefit of the future, benefit of the transfer window, the benefit of Ange's start to the season, the benefit of everything, the goodwill with the fans, the club, get everyone in sync again together. Take the money, spend it wisely.
But Kane said, right? This is what I was talking about in my video, right? If Kane says, I'm not signing a contract, if that's not a possibility, right? If that option is off the table, the only way that we get 110 million euro, which is what, according to that's what they offered with add-ons, 110 million euro. The only way we even get semi-close to that is if we reach a Champions League final the next season without Harry Kane. How many people think that actually could happen?
No.
It's not happening.
No chance.
So we should be biting their hand off. If it is true that they offered a 110 million euro package with if he comes back to the Champions League buyback clause, we should have bit their hand off and said, done deal, let's go. It should be, here we go, Fabrizio Romano right now. Right? They're an idiot to try to force and pump 120 million pound, 130 million pound for a guy who's got 1 year left on his contract, who can easily make his 250K a week, walk out the door on the free next summer, and completely screw over this club. And if Harry Kane cares about the club, he should be first walking straight into Daniel Levy's door and saying, I don't care if you offer me £1 million a week. I'm not signing another contract here.
I think we're going to reject the deal, but but then later on we're going to accept the same price, but with certain caveats in place that aren't in place now. I think the price will be 85 million, but there'll be certain stipulations put into that contract. For example, we get the first buyback if he comes to the Premier League. If Harry Kane wins a Champions League, we get a percentage kickback of some kind. I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think Kane's gone. I said it 2 months ago. He's going. There's no way now.
Would you accept 85 mil with player added into that deal? And which player?
Sorry, Haz, what did you say there?
Take the 85 and one of their players.
Yeah, would we accept that, depending on what player it is?
Us personally or the club?
No, us personally.
Yeah. 85 mil, I think, is where he's valued at. I don't think he's worth 100 mil.
Value that, but would obviously adding a player would sweeten the deal, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But then you've got to find a player that actually wants to come to Tottenham.
And it depends on the. That's the first thing.
What defender do they have? What striker? They don't even have a striker right now. They still have Mane. They don't have a striker.
They don't have a striker. They've got Choupo-Moting, right?
Bayern's buying a striker this season, whether it's Harry Kane or somebody else, right? They got rid of Mane.
Yeah, I think that's a big indication that they're going
on. Is he?
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
He's going to the Middle East.
After being there for a year, by the way. So I don't know what's up with that. Apparently,
Andy Lloyd said, "What about Stelios?
Would
you take Stelios?
I don't care who it is. It could be their kit man for all I care. 85 million pound, and let's go.
I'll take anyone right now.
I would just take the 85. I would just take the 85 million, right?
85 million.
85 million's on the. I think it's worth.
I think at least if we get a player included in the deal, at least it's guaranteed player. But we don't know what he's going to do with that 85 million.
85 million in Kim Min-jae. We could just send him on loan for a year.
What? The same Kim Min-jae that we could have bought for 10 million when Jose was
2 years ago.
charged. Oh, right, that same one. Yeah,
just like Jack.
Do you know what was a massive kick in the teeth this week, just to compound on all the pain that we've been dished out in the past week or two. There was news this week of Pavard. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about Pavard. So in the same day, we announced a new partnership with official formal wear partner Kiton.
What is Kiton?
And
how do they make formal wear?
It's a company that makes. It's a. I don't know who they are. I'll be honest with you.
But they're wearing tracksuits. That's not formal wear.
Well, it depends.
Formal wear is like suits.
I don't think they are. I don't think they are tracksuits, are they?
They look like tracksuits.
Well, within about 10 minutes of this being announced, on the same page, this got put there. tight-fisted. Not.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. That's
So I'm
whoever did
looking
that,
at us.
quality.
Hey guys, don't worry about Kane leaving and not signing defenders. We've got a new partner. It's like kicking the teeth. So someone's come out with a meme straight away. At the same time, down the road,
Unbelievable.
they announce the unveiling of a statue of Arsene Wenger, and they're putting their heroes lifting up trophies outside their stadium along with all their other statues.
Do you blame them?
And you just feel you just. Well, no, Haas. No, I don't blame them, Haas. I don't. You're right. But I just feel this sums it all up. They can't. They never read the room, Tottenham. The PR is always bad. And rather than trying to understand why fans feel this way and put out some news that's going to get our spirits up, you announce something to do with money that is winding everyone up. And meanwhile, down the road, they're actually now behaving like a football club again. And they've been doing that for 3-4 years. They're a football club. And we don't know what we are. We just don't know what we are. And I thought, why would you do this now? Like, this is killing us. This is why it's toxic. I mean, are you going to buy anything from Kit On, guys? You put any orders in for some tracksuits or no?
No. And the thing is now as well is this whole Kane situation, and this is why it's so important to get your transfers done early in the window. So whatever's going on in the background with Van der Ven and Tapsoba, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if the prices that they're asking for have now just gone up.
Oh yeah,
because they see money coming in. They go, well, you can afford it now, so now our price is 40 million. We'll because they've already is it Leverkusen where Tapsoba is at the moment? I think they've already come out and said we don't actually have to sell this player. We don't have to sell him.
We don't need to sell him. Yeah.
If you don't, we don't need to sell him. So
now,
if you can't give us the money we want, then he'll just stay.
Lee, what hope have we got?
Now they can say 45 million, 50 million.
The club have announced that they'll be waiting until Friday for a clause to be activated in Phillips's contract so we can get him cheaper from Blackburn. I mean, that was all over Twitter.
Come on, man. That's honestly, that kid, isn't it?
Yeah, Phillips. I mean,
yeah,
it's all over social media. The club have decided to wait until Friday until a clause is activated in his contract, which means that his price will be significantly reduced.
Are you sponsoring our sponsor still?
Just having a look at what they sell, mate. You know, they're all over the world. They've got bags, they've got wallets, they've got suits.
Have they got any straw hats?
Aftershaves at will. You can do.
Don't
you can
sponsor
do
them even more.
They're fragrance, not aftershaves.
Fragrance.
Right. I don't know the terms.
Am I the only one thinking that? And I mentioned this last week as well, right? It's not a working man's sort of thing anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're a working man, there's no way you can support or sustain going to watch a game or being part of it. Okay, it's more geared. Everything is geared towards the sort of upper class now. Like whether it's at a stadium,
middle class.
Listen, I said 2 weeks ago. I said 2 weeks ago. Hold on, guys. As a person that's only been to the new stadium 3 times, and the only reason I go is because one of our friends has a season ticket. But I don't know if there's certain levels of season ticket. But whenever we go there and we go up to level 3, free food and all that kind of stuff around the tables and the bar, free drink, all that kind of stuff. So I only go when he doesn't want to go, and then I take, the wife and kids come with me. But I worked it out that if I was to do that and pay for tickets, it's like a 250 quid before I've even got to the stadium.
Mental.
That's not including food and drinks, parking,
travel.
It's madness. It's not a day out.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lee.
I remember going when I was a kid, and I paid like 20, 30 quid for a ticket or something like that. Train fare up there.
Yeah.
Now it's like you have to
Lee,
book an holiday.
It's interesting you've said that. Because you definitely want to watch tomorrow's breaking news story that I'm doing with Brian. 100% you want to watch that.
Oh, I'll be watching, mate, while I'm working.
That's a clue and a half I've just given you there. It's shocking. It's shocking. They're pricing families out of it now. They're pricing families out of it. But the sad thing is, families will still go to guys because look, I'm not a parent, but I've got a lot of parents at my club and I observe the parents. And the one thing I've noticed about parents, they will do whatever they can for their kid, even if it pushes them. And Spurs know this. Spurs know this. You know, when it comes to kids, parents, they pay, man. They just do it. So I think, you know, it's do you know what it is? It's an abuse of our loyalty. They know we can't go anywhere, like Will said earlier.
It's more than an abuse.
That's what I'm saying. We need to start acting like customers if they're going to treat us like it.
And I think that's the difficulty that me, you, I, all of us feel, is the fact that you're not getting your value, are you? Yet people are happy to tolerate it. Why?
9:30 a.m. tomorrow, Graham. 9:30 a.m. Well, JP. The thing is, yes, you're right. They do tolerate it, and that is our frustration. And you know what? You're spot on. You're spot on. It's why do they tolerate it? Why do fans tolerate it? Do they feel that anything else? Because you know, a lot of people say protesting doesn't work, and I always say to them, "But you haven't tried it." That's like saying my car doesn't work. Have you started it? No. So how do you know it doesn't work? You haven't even tried to start it. Well, I understand this argument.
Stel, have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You watched it? So I'm catching up because I haven't watched it from the beginning. But the episode that I watched tonight, I won't give any spoilers away for the people that haven't seen it, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Is the scene with all of the directors in the room talking about a certain league. And to me, Daniel Levy sounds like the guy that was at the head of the table saying, "Don't worry about the fans, blah, blah, blah. They'll pay the money. You know, you'll make loads and loads of money." That's what it's about. It's all about getting the money in from the people that can afford the money. Don't worry about the people that are there for football.
And that's
what
I
it's all
say.
about.
That's what I say, Lee. I see lots of people.
And that is business,
I see
guys.
lots of people.
That's business.
I see and hear lots and lots of people who just keep saying, "Do you know what? Don't go. Don't buy a ticket. Don't go. Don't go." I understand that sentiment. The problem is, if we don't go, the tickets will be sold. Someone else will go, like a day tripper who'll get the ticket, and Levy wins because that's what he wants. He wants those day trippers there. Whereas still, if people like Stel, me, Graham, a few others who go regularly, we have a voice there. And we can use that voice there, be it inside the stadium, be it outside the stadium, as opposed to just saying, "All right, well, it's easy. Let's not go."
Hear me out. Everyone watching this show right now. Everyone watching this show right now. Hear me out. Those people that said the protests don't work and these people aren't being heard, mark my words, tomorrow morning, watch the show. We have been heard and you will all see. I promise you all. Something is going to shift, in my opinion. But just check it out. I won't say it again because it gets to a point where you say it so much, it's like it becomes an anticlimax then when you do the show, right? So
yeah.
That's it. 100%, Phil.
LP spot on.
Legacy fan cleansing.
Yeah. Do you know what? But being involved in youth football and the aspirations of all these kids and where they want to be when they're, 16 to 20 years of age, and seeing what they will end up in really, really hits.
Well, Iggy said it, didn't he?
You're trying to teach all these kids
Lee,
how to play football, and it becomes and then we get to a point where it's not about football anymore. It's about money. It's about business. It's about image. It's about all this kind of stuff. He just completely loses the heart of what this is, which is a sport that people have passion for. And when you lose that,
one club does this, another club is doing this. That kills me. To see that kills me. And Iggy said it last week on the show. I think it was. He said, "The way we're going, we're going to lose a generation of younger fan who won't be able to go to the games, and therefore they won't have that." Listen, I remember my first game I went to Spurs. I was 12 years old. Best thing that ever happened to me as a football fan. That feeling, I will never get that again. That first time I went, saw the pitch,
walking up the stairs, and you see the pitch. Yeah.
Oh man, you're. And it's the same for the first NFL game you go to, basketball, baseball, whatever it is you're into, yeah? That generation of fan, are they going to get that? And if the answer is no, we will lose a generation of fans. And Iggy said this. You're just going to get people who are working.
I got to run, guys.
Afford to go.
See you later, Will.
Ciao, Will. Take it easy, man.
Will, pick up, man.
Take it easy.
See, my experience of going to the new stadium, right, thinking about it, because I first went to White Hart Lane when I was 12 as well, was taken there by it. And that's the first time. When I went to Spurs as a 12-year-old, that's when I decided to support Spurs. Before that, I was Man United by default because my whole family, dad, his twin brother, are all Man
That's
United.
when you decided to
I didn't
ruin
want
your
to be. Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm going to ruin my life.
But talking about that, walking through the back of the stands and then walking up those steps and coming out to seeing the pitch and stuff like that, compared to what I experienced today at the new stadium, which is I go up 3 flights of escalators. I then come into a large open area with bars and free food and buffets out and all this kind of stuff, right? And then I have to, when it's time to go to the match, I have to walk past people's dining tables where they're sat down with their £1,000 dinners and stuff like that and walk out this little glass door into the stadium. It's like it's like the Twilight Zone. It's like going into a hotel and you go through a door into a football stadium. It's like the complete, it's not what I expect a football stadium to be. And that maybe that's because I'm lucky enough that the guy's got I think his season tickets cost like 10 grand or something like that, 10 grand each. So it must be like the high level ones. But it doesn't really give you the feeling of the actual football experience. A proper fan walking around outside, most people get there and worried that they haven't got fucking kids boxes to give the kids some sandwiches. I mean, it's just not what I remember football being.
About a glass window where you can see players walking about onto the pitch. Who really gives a crap about that?
Oh, the glass tunnel.
Who cares? Who cares? Again, it just shows. I'm sorry, Mari. I know you was going to say something.
Oh, yeah.
I'll finish up quickly. But it just shows again money making.
It's the experience,
money out of this, right? You can have a seat here for the season for how much is it? It's thousands, isn't it? To have a seat.
Yeah, it's about 12 grand. About 12
grand pop for the season. Again, it's just money making exercise constantly. Everything in that stadium is geared towards making money, right?
And none of it returning.
Look, you wouldn't even mind, right, if we were being successful on the pitch and showing ambition. The problem I have at the moment is the club, that the hierarchy aren't showing any sort of ambition. When you've got the likes of like Aston Villa, who were relegated a few seasons back, have come back up. They've got a top manager in place. They're doing bits in the transfer market. They're showing ambition. They're in Europe this season. They're identifying their targets, getting the deals done, and they're acting like a proper club. They're showing ambition. Now, when was the last time our club showed ambition by saying, right, we need a defender, this, that, and the other. I'm going to go out and get X, Y, Z, what the manager needs. I want us to have a good run this season. We wouldn't even be bothered if we showed ambition, gave it a good go, and didn't get there. As long as we show that we want to get where we want to be, no one would have an issue. But we don't. Like you said, Lee, there's no cohesion between the hierarchy and the fans. No one knows what's going on. No one knows where this club wants to be. I know where I want to be. You guys know where the club wants to be. We all want the same thing, but there's nothing coming out of the club. And I use that word ambition time and time again, because that is all I'm asking for. That is all we are asking for is ambition. Please just show something, show some sort of willingness that you, as the owner or the person in chief of this football club, want to achieve something. Show us something. We're not getting anything.
Don't get me wrong. They've got ambition, but it's just in the wrong place.
That ambition is financial.
Exactly. It's about creating a global entertainment business.
And this is why there's a massive disconnect, because there's people out there defending it, right? Saying, yeah, but look where we was. Okay, look where we are now. We've alienated a whole section of our fan base who can't afford to go to games, who can't afford to bring their kids to the games, right? Look at what we've become crooks. Look at the owner of the club is facing jail time, for God's sake.
And people are making excuses. People are making excuses. Oh, well, he's gonna get slapped in the wrist. I'm telling people that's a federal crime. This is not. This is a case against the United States government. That's a huge crime.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback on what Has is saying, I was jealous last Wednesday. Aston Villa was here playing in Orlando against Fulham,
I like
and
Chesney.
and their fan base is so excited. Man, we got Pau Torres, we got Ketia, we got more, we brought in Moreno. Like, they were talking to me, and I befriended 2 Aston Villa friends who are going to stream during the season and jump on and guest. But I was so jealous because I see the excitement that they have. But then the strange thing, they knew our situation. They're like, man, you guys got Ange. Are you guys gonna get him center backs? Like, these are Aston Villa players. They know our situation. It's like, when is Daniel Levy gonna back a manager? And then I look at our own fan base. You got people saying, "Oh, Daniel Levy has backed the managers. He has done this," making excuses. But you have people, other fan bases who are seeing the problems, but within our own fan base, they don't see it. And for me, it's just, I scratch my head that the ambition for glory. I'm like, I talked to the authors who were still alive when Tottenham won the league. Those people won the league. You could tell the difference between that and people who are, I don't know, in the 90s. I'm making a generalization where it's like, oh, Levy saved the club. We got the stadium. And it's just like, man, I would play in a cardboard. If Spurs played in a cardboard box and won the league, I'll be happy.
Yep.
Look, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So it's mind blowing. It's really mind blowing. And I'll say this to just end off, because today what I did, and I could save for another show, because I was watching shows yesterday, and there were excuses for why hasn't Tottenham win trophies, and they were giving everybody the blame. And I agree, everybody gets the blame. And I'm like, but it starts and ends with Daniel Levy. And I posted a comment, which there wasn't a response, where it's just that, because it may seem like, well, we had our chances to win trophies. I'm like, no. Opportunities, we haven't had opportunities to win trophies compared to the other big 6 clubs. We haven't had. It's few to many. Like, we can name it on our fingers, right? The semifinal against Chelsea, the Champions League final, the
Premier League,
the League Cup where Jose got fired. So today I went on to, I did research. I went to Transfer Market and look at the opportunities of each 6 clubs. Right? Easily, we know we have, out of the big 6, we've won less trophies, 1 compared to everybody else. But I looked at appearances at finals and semifinals. We are in the big 6. We're on the bottom. The other teams have had, like, Arsenal has won some and they have lost some. Same with City, same with Chelsea, same with United. We've had literally 3 or 4 opportunities within this decade of a chance of getting close to silverware, where they've had more opportunities, right? And so that's why I said Daniel Levy has failed, because in the sense of, if you set up an environment, you set up a team where they have many opportunities, right? Like, if we get a chance to go to 5 Carabao Cup finals or semifinals within maybe 4 years, the higher the chance of us winning a trophy. But the problem is, we don't get those opportunities.
Murray, you're right. Murray, you're spot on. And you know what? The same applies to many aspects of life. If you look at some of the best salespeople in the world, they are given many products to sell so that they can upsell. Or if you're not ready for this, I can give you that. When you just give someone, go to a car dealership Oh, you can't afford the top of the range Merc. Don't worry, we've got one below. We've got the E class, we've got the C class, we've got the A class. We can add this exhaust pipe, we can add this sound system. If you give me lots of things to sell, then I can find a way. But essentially, what I'm saying is, if you position the people with lots of opportunities to be successful, they'll do it. And you're right. And you know what I think the biggest issue is, Maury? We've never built a squad capable enough. I was looking at this the other day because I was listening to arguments. Oh, but we never blame managers when managers lose cup finals and semi-finals. It's always the chairman's fault. And I thought, do you know what? Let me go and have a look at this. And this is what I saw. Let me just, JP, can you just remove this message just for 1 second so I can get the thing up? This is what I saw, right? Look at our bench in the Champions League final. And bear in mind, Liverpool finished 27 points ahead of us in the Champions League final. Look at our bench. So we had Eric Dyer, Loriente, Lucas, big argument, you should just Davinson Sanchez, Lamela, an injured Wanyama, Carl Walker-Peters, Juan Foyth, Gazzaniga, Aurier, and Davies. Where's the game changers? This is what we went into a Champions League final with. Semi-final against Chelsea. We lost 4-2. They had Fabregas, Hazard, Costa, Begovic, Zuma, Terry. We had Kyle Walker, good player, Nkudu, Vincent Janssen, Musa Sissoko, Kevin Wimmer, and Ben Davies. What does anyone want Poch to do? It's 2-2. It's anyone's game. They bring on Fabregas, Costa. We've got Kevin Wimmer. Bring in Ben Davies. Where has the owner given the manager a fighting chance? When you argue with people that say, all you do is blame Levy, I say, yes. What manager beats Chelsea with that on the bench? What do you do with that? So I think Murray's spot on. I think Murray's absolutely bang on the money. Do we create as a club enough opportunities for success?
Can you bring up Robert Yee's comment, please? Whoever's
but I will say this, and that's what today
We've got a couple of super chats to do as well. We'll do in a minute. Robert Yee.
This one. Spot on. No, not that one. The last one. Sorry.
Because I posted that question, it wasn't, no one answered it, maybe because they didn't see it. And then I went today to just research it. And I'm just like, we've had less of the chances to do it. And even when I post a question, I put a question mark. And what are the reasons why? And one of the reasons, I even went in depth further. I looked at staff administration of the club, right? Where I looked in comparison to the other clubs, continuity, something that we don't have, right? All these things that have set up an environment where we don't have multiple chances.
But we've said that 100 times, Murray. 6 directors of football, head scouts, 17 managers. We've said there's no. So Robert Yee says,
and then this.
Robert Yee says the way Goons went about recruiting Declan is foreign to Spurs. Director and whoever else do all the work, and at the end, Levy ends it over money. Goons didn't flinch at the price. And you know what? And we're the club with the game-changing stadium.
Yeah,
we're the club with the game-changing stadium.
And guess what? They're going just a couple Raya as well. They're interested in Raya as well. Look at the recruitment. Look at it. Look at the mentality, the shift in mentality.
They're backing the manager.
That's what happens when you've not been in Champions League for ages and you hit the Champions League, right? You kick on.
Well, they're using qualification for Champions League as a pedestal to elevate. Whereas we get into the Champions League and we signed.
We had that chance with Conte last year, right?
We signed Clement Longap, Jed Spence, Perisic on a cheap loan. It's very quickly. There was some super chats. I just want to quickly run through. Sorry, I haven't done the super chats. People that have put them in. Phil P says, "Big up to Phil P. 85 million for Kane, but they have to take Levy too." Oh, that would be a dream. London Bro, thank you for your super sticker. Big up to you for the donation. Appreciate it. Della Spurs, top guy. If you've never seen Della Spurs, he often appears when Will does his shows. I hate to be negative. I believe Spurs fans are afraid to protest because Spurs fans are what keep Tottenham relevant in certain spaces, online media. Besides Arsenal, Spurs are not relevant to the top 6. He's got a point. The only reason what What makes Spurs relevant other than the drama that we seem to create as a club every 2 minutes? Other than the absolute shithousery of
Harry Kane. Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I said this.
Son to the Asian market, and Harry Kane is the England captain.
I said this the other day that I think
So
most
if Kane goes, we are irrelevant.
Kane,
Or we're semi-relevant, I guess.
all of a sudden, it makes us less relevant. Am I right in saying that, or am I wrong?
I don't.
I think the media won't have an interest in us anymore. I think the media won't
outside of Spurs
bother us
fans,
as
who
much.
cares? Yeah, outside of Spurs fans, who cares?
I find a lot of fans
kind of like Sunny fans, of course, and like they'll still attract a large volume of people to the stadium and buying shirts and stuff. But who else is there?
Well,
who else can the media? The media can't come out with any more Let's Sell Kane stories every year now.
Well, no, I mean the media. Listen, the media have done their absolute best to drive Harry Kane out of this club. They've been hellbent on it for years,
and they've done that for years, haven't they?
Yeah.
We've done well to hold out for this long, to be honest.
Well, who would have thought Harry Kane was that stupid?
A couple of years ago, he could have been, one of the most expensive players to depart a club. Could have been, but not now. Not at his age now, not with his contract. It's just
but see, then, and that's the frustration for me is that he obviously wanted to win stuff at Spurs, yet we absolutely wasted the opportunity of him and Sonny together. Totally wasted it. Pissed it up the wall.
JP, I said that we missed the boat with Poch, man. We completely missed the boat. We
had what we needed. We had a
for a
manager,
shiny stadium.
Listen, we had a manager that had the potential of a foundation of a team who worked with young players, and then we had Paul Mitchell from a recruitment perspective, and we pissed it all up.
Everything was in place.
And who was it that fucked it all up?
Yeah.
Paul Mitchell straight away, we know exactly why he left. And, as we said, Pochettino said we needed a rebuild. Levy said, I'm not interested. We've got players here, they can be, we'll just go with them. Keep them here. And some of them guys are still here, right? They've been there longer than the bricks. The mortar's still wet on the fucking stadium. Yep.
That's what we sold it for, bricks and mortar. And yet people are surprised that we as some fans don't like that.
I actually was saying with Will Stewart, I think, for so long, just you wait and see if Conte goes. Because if we can't back him, I know the football fans hate it. I get it. And I'm not going to make this me defending Conte. But our argument was, if we don't keep him and we don't please him, where do you go? And look where we're going now.
And even going down to him, we're not buying him the players at his level.
And do you know what? Do you know what? JP, Haas, Mari, and Lee. Do you know what the saddest thing of all is? We've probably actually got the right manager in place. One that pleases the fans for the football. Someone that is humble. He's chuffed to be the manager of Tottenham. He's absolutely. This is what my career was about, to become a Premier League manager, and I've arrived. I want to be here. You're not doing me a favour.
You want to be
You're
successful,
not doing me a favour. And the way he handles the media so far, it's you want to listen. And the way he is with the players, they're smiling. You think, freaking hell, man, you've actually got probably the right manager that's going to please everyone, and you're sabotaging it again. You just can't take your hands out of interfering and meddling in a situation that's just going to ruin it again. And that's for me is the saddest thing. I actually like it.
Do you know what annoys me is the fact that we had Conte and Jose Mourinho, two quality managers who've won so much, like in football terms. I mean, they've just won the lot. Absolute elite managers, in my opinion. And it makes you wonder, why did we bother bringing them in? Why? Again, it's all aesthetics, isn't it? Because to him, having them is like a trophy for Levy. It's like, look at our shiny new stadium. Look at the manager that we've got in charge of our team. Yeah, because it's more of a pull for sponsors, for whoever it is, for people from across the world to come and watch the team. You know, again, that all comes down to financials as well. They were never going to back Jose or Conte. It's all aesthetics. It's like me having a Ferrari, not being able to run it though. I want it there though because I want to look good in front.
They think they backed him, though. They would argue, no, we did back him. They'll tell you, no, we did back him. We did.
They did. They backed him into a corner.
It's 100%, Taz. It's the same like kind of Phil was saying earlier, right? About a homeless person with an Armani suit. And all they're gone to do is gone off and bought shoes that look like kind of Gucci shoes and
Exactly that. A vanity project. Really exactly that. Spot on, Michael. Spot on.
That they were just there to please the fans, to get them off his back.
100%. 100%.
What makes me laugh and I used to have fun with people is the fact that they used to say, "Oh, like Conte is a manager who wants these megastars. He's not a Tottenham manager where he wants your 70 million Bastonis and stuff like that." And I go, yes, and I don't see anything wrong with that because he wants to win, right? But who's the monkey or who's the idiot who went and employed him? That set the expectation. If you're going to go and get a manager like that, you know the type of players he wants. Surely.
I think if you get a situation like bringing a manager in that doesn't work and you fire him, you say, do you know what? It happens. If it happens 3-4 times, you like say, do you know what? Oh, man, we just can't quite get the right manager. But after 23 years and 17 managers, I don't see how you can blame managers anymore. Like, it's almost like how many. It's like someone steals and you say, right, don't do that again. Right, that's illegal. They do it again, you say, right, what did I say the first time? If you do it again, they do it again, right, you're sacked. Then they go to another company and they do it again. So how many chances do you give that person before you say, right, you need to go to prison? Like, you have to get locked up for a bit here. I'm not saying we should lock up Daniel Levy. I'm just saying, how many chances does someone get to get it wrong before people say, dude, you can't do this job.
How can you blow defend him? How can you blow 550 million, have Son and Kane, who've got the most assists, the most goal records? Kane's got the most goals for the club and still win now.
Question for you all, right?
And then they say, why do you protest? Why'd you protest?
If next season we start shipping goals, right, and it's all going wrong.
When are we shipping goals?
When? Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. When? Are the fans going to get on Angie's back? Or is it going to be Levy?
If they do, and I've said this from day one, if they get on Angie's back, they are outside of the realm of thinking that makes them a true fan of understanding how football in this club works. Because as we'll keep harping on about, Angie's system deploys a very high line. We've seen in the first couple of games that we've had one team that had one chance and took the opportunity and scored against us, and they're a bunch of fishermen. And then we have West Ham, who had, 4 chances in the game and executed on all of them. Right?
I'm going to lead you on
and that's why they won the game. And if those points in the first couple of games, if we have 70-80% of possession, but we keep losing games because our defence can't play a high line and not quick enough, and we get hit on the counter attack, that's not Angie's fault. That is because we've not bought him the tools to play his system. There's no point bringing a manager in who says, this is how I want to play it, and they say, well, you can't play like that because I don't want to buy you the players, therefore do another way. What's the point of bringing him in the first place?
I heard it last season. Had exactly the same question and the same answer last season. It's Conte's fault because he should be getting a tune out of them.
I hate that argument.
And you get the same thing.
JP, this is what I was going to lead on to, right?
It's such a clapped argument.
How can we be blaming the manager or expecting Ange to get a tune out of these players when those said players played under a defensive manager whose primary objective for most of that game was to defend, and they couldn't. And now they're expecting Ange to get a tune out of these players who he plays a high line and will be expected to be able to defend to the highest level to make sure that the back door is shut. Because
in the Premier League.
How can they expect? How can you expect that from Ange? How? To be able
He's
to
a manager. He should be able to work
Dude,
with the team.
dude, we thought. Listen, I thought like obsessed over backing Conte and defending him to the end, right? And I said, go look at his Inter Milan team. When he gets the players, Inter Milan was so good to watch. They were a good team. Maybe not Pep, but they were good and they won the league. And I said, if we do the same, this guy will deliver. We didn't. And everyone blamed Conte. He should get a better tune out of them. He's not getting the best out of them. And I said, but if he does play expansive, the defense is screwed. And then I did a tactical show on it. What you're seeing now pre-season, exactly what I described last season, is happening now. We're playing great football. Can't defend. So if fans blame Ange, I'm going to say you did exactly the same thing last year. And now you're doing it to this guy. And I will go live every day for 10 minutes and do "You Are the Problem" videos. Every day, you are the problem videos if they do that. Because they... do you think fans will blame Ange? Do you think, like, with what's going on now, fans will actually blame Ange?
I seriously hope.
Do you think they will?
Yeah, I think they will.
Do you think fans will blame?
100% they will. 100%. They've blamed. Look at all the managers that they've blamed. It was all Mourinho's fault. It made it toxic. It was all Conte's fault because he come out and called it for what it is. They all come out and find an excuse to blame Ange at the end of the day.
How can you blame Ange? Just look at it. Just look at it. This is our defense.
History dictates that. I don't know.
This is the defense. Look, Porro, Romero, Dyer, Sanchez, Chicken Royale, Destiny, Ben Davies, Tanganga, Reggie, Spence, and Rodon. And can I say, none of those wing backs, fullbacks can defend.
None of them.
None of them. Porro can't defend. Royale can only defend if he goes into the centre back role, not the right back role. You know, Doji for me can't defend, and Davies is too slow. Jed Spence, who is Jed Spence? Reggie, he's another one. He gets put on his ass if you blow him down. Like,
you know what the joke of it is, right? The joke of it is they played in a back three last season, in a back three, and we still conceded 63 goals. Now this defense next season are going to be playing a back two with fullbacks, two defenders at the back with fullbacks. Right, so
the only way that those two fullbacks
without a proper number 6 either. We haven't got number 6 in my view.
With fullbacks,
yeah, you need someone to cover them.
With fullbacks that can't defend, right? You've got Porro, who's excellent going forward, but he's going to be absolutely chewed up and spat out at the back because he can't compete with players aerially. It's just a joke. And how can you expect, like I said again, how can you expect those players to be a part of that system? You can't do it. We know it's going to happen, though. We know.
Can I say, right? Graham Potter. You know Graham Potter when he had Brighton playing 3-4-3 and other games he went to a 4-3-3. Do you know what Graham Potter did? If you go and watch, this is why I actually think he's a good manager. But the Chelsea job was just he should never have taken it. But what they did was they played on the front foot, but he knew centre backs were slow. They'll be rejuvenated this season. Player of the season, right? But what Graham Potter did was he played the two centre backs deeper. So what he decided was, do you know what? I'm going to give up trapping you here and winning possession on the halfway line. I'm going to drop deeper. So when you do pounce, I know at least I've got a defence there that can then try and stop you deeper, but you haven't bypassed the defence high up, meaning now it's a race who can get back. So rather than turning into a recovery race, he dropped the centre-backs deep, gave up that space between the halfway line and the edge of the box and said, look, have that space, but try and get past this. And it worked quite well for him. I don't see Ange doing that. I do not see, because the way we play with the inverted fullbacks, the Ange system, he can't do it. So unless Ange changes his system, and by the way, people that defended Conte said he wasn't flexible. So I hope the same applies now if Ange doesn't show flexibility, because I've explained to you how you counter having slow centre-backs playing Ange's system, and I can do a tactical show on it, but I don't think Ange will do that because I think it kills the inverted fullbacks. So the only solution for me is either Ange scraps his way and changes it and actually looks at what Potter did, or we need to buy the centre-backs. I don't think Ange will change because Potter never played with inverted wing-backs. I think we're in trouble. I think we're in trouble.
Big time. Big time. And we're going to see it next season unfold. You know, look, we've got Brentford away. All right. With the current defence, and we mentioned this on Savage show yesterday as well. How do you see that game going with the current defence at the moment? If we're to start the season with the current crop of players, how do you see that first game against Brentford going? And I said on the show, I see it 3-1. I think they'll score.
Have you watched Brentford pre-season, Haas? Have you seen any Brentford? Have you seen any Brentford pre-season?
100%. Yeah. They look great. And they've got no Ivan Toney.
They look organised, don't they?
Keeper is the keeper's gone as well, let's be honest. They're playing some brilliant football. And then we've got United at home, who've had about 65 pre-season games. They look fit as a fiddle.
I can't get over this, man. I just can't get over this.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
Crazy, isn't it? It's just mental.
Look, the team that's challenging for the title and the team that's 8th, you can't see. Is there no one on the board of directors that says, guys, look at these numbers? Do they mean something? Like, do these numbers actually relate to anything that's going wrong at our club and well at Arsenal? I mean, is this such a complex analysis?
I don't know if people have the balls to take stats like that to him, to be honest.
Arsenal spent 250 million rebuilding a defence over the last 7-8 years, and we've spent, what was it, 50p? 100 million.
See, but even if a couple of them have failed, right?
Rodon and Sanchez. I mean,
even if a couple of them have failed, you go, okay, that's failed. Let's let's go again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? If your team, right, who's consistently been in top 6, top 5, whatever, all of a sudden finish 8th, out of Europe, out of sorts, losing your best player, doesn't that team, or shouldn't that team, go out and spend money to fix the problem?
Well, it comes back to that word that we hear all the time: ambition. Haas, what's the ambition of the club? Is it to put the club?
And this is what I'm saying. Why can't people
building
back to where we were competing for stuff, or is it just to try and keep the fans happy by getting top 6? I guess.
How are fans happy with this? How can fans not see what's going on?
Well, it's like what we said. They can see what's going on. It's whether they choose to act on it. Look, I can't stand this argument of that middle ground that, you know, we're leaning this way, we're leaning. No. Everyone in the middle ground complains about the running of Tottenham Hotspur regarding football matters, and everyone in that middle ground has pretty much said that they're open to a change of hierarchy, and pretty much everyone in that middle ground says things need to change. So if you know that's got to change and this has got to change, and you're in the middle ground, why don't you do anything about it? What is stopping you from doing something? Like, there's fans that just don't go to games, they boycott the stadium. Fine, that's great. You're taking action. But how can you just moan and just
people
complain?
Walking past us on the other side of the road, laughing and taking a video to post.
Can I just say,
you'll go in there, have a beer, and moan about the football, and moan that we lost.
There's fans boycotting the stadium, yet the ownership then decide, actually, we'll increase the season ticket prices as well to go with it. It's just, it makes you laugh. Really, it's a joke.
I've got no issue if you're Levy out. I've got no issue if you're Levy in. My issue is the middle ground that complains and does nothing about it. The Levy-inners don't complain. They've got the club they want, right?
They're happy.
They've
got a shiny stadium. They've got a shiny stadium.
But how can the majority of a fan base, the majority, be unhappy and do nothing about it? So when Stelios says, you're the problem, the fans are the problem, and I get peppered, no one's told me where I'm wrong. tell me where I'm wrong. Like, this is the analogy I gave. I did a video the other day. I said, if your partner, whether she's a missus or a bloke, whatever it may be, cheats on you, and you find out, you got to make a choice. You either kick them out, you leave, sit down and chat to them, or get a lawyer involved. There's options. If your solution is, I'm going to go and speak to my mates and I'm going to moan about what's happened, and your mates say, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, you know, what are we going to do about this? I mean, have you thought about leaving? Have you thought about getting a lawyer involved? And your solution is, do you know what? Nothing. I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to get it off my chest, but we'll be all right. And the next month it happens again. So you go to your mate and you say, she's done it again. Like, she cheated on me, or he's cheated on me. we can do about it, man. It's twice, bro. What are you going to do? Do you know what? I'm going to chat to her again. After 23 times, there comes a point where if I was your friend and you came to me, I'm going to say, bro, please shut up. I'm sick of hearing it, man. You know what you're going to get. You know what your partner's like. You know what's going to happen. You are accepting it. You are choosing to not leave the house, not kick them out, not get a lawyer involved. You have accepted it. So tell me how now you're not the problem. Your partner was the problem to start with because they're the one that broke the rules, but you're accepting it. So tell me how fans aren't the problem. I've yet to hear anyone be able to tell me where I'm wrong on it. If you can tell me where I'm wrong, I'll never bring it up again. I will never mention it again. But no one can. Nobody.
If kind of like the only thing I would say is I don't think that you're wrong. I think it's people don't like
the way I say it. You're the problem.
People don't like being and like that is it in a nutshell. Like people don't like being told.
That's why I wear the hat, JP, to try and be more likable. You see,
ain't working. If I come and tell you you're wrong,
I need trainers in the background like Haas because everyone gets some Nike.
That would win it, man. That would win it.
Look,
that would win it. You would come up with 10 excuses of why you're not wrong.
The bottom line for me, guys, and I'll leave it at that, is if the club were serious and they were ambitious about winning stuff, for me, they would have complimented Kane and Son in their prime and built a team around them and kicked on from there. They just never did, though. They just never did. And that, for me, from back then, it just showed that we weren't really interested, or not we, but they weren't really interested in investing in the team to be successful. And I just can't, for the life of me, I can't understand why.
Yeah, go on, sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, for the life of me, I can't understand why people are happy with that. People are always happy with, oh, well, it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, we could be a lot worse. Yeah, but come on, like, it's diabolical the way we're talking about, whether it's in the media, whether it's amongst our friends, whether it's on social media, anywhere around the country or the world, we just ridicule, butt of jokes. We don't win trophies. Year after year, we get memes and pictures of empty trophy cabinets and everything else. Don't people?
We are 4 or 5 years away, in my opinion, of not being a Big Six club anymore. I think we really are in risk because I tell you why. If you look at Aston Villa, they've roughly won the same amount of trophies at Spurs, give or take 1 or 2. So have Everton. A lot of younger fans don't realise how big Everton and Aston Villa were. Tottenham, Villa, Everton were roughly the same size of club, right? If Villa go on and win stuff with Unai Emery, they go ahead of us on trophy counts. Then we're out the top 6. Don't worry about Newcastle. They'll be bigger than us just on the financials. Newcastle are 15, 20 years away of consecutive trophy winning periods like Chelsea and Man City went on before they become bigger than us. But Everton, I'm not worried about. But if Aston Villa get their act together, and they've got really good owners at the moment, if they pull it out the bag, we're no longer a Big Six club. And we're going to have to face that reality. Because the moment, we're clinging on to it. We're just about holding on to the Big Six.
Listen, Aston Villa are a big club. Don't, underestimate Aston Villa. I know they went down. But look at the way they've come up and look at the way that, they've shown that they want to be a success. They've gone out and done bits. So for me, yeah, we are in danger. I don't think we're a top 6 club now, not by definition at the moment, but 100%, I don't see us being in that top 6 for a while. The way things are going,
I'm just gutted, guys, because I said if we don't get behind Conte as a fan base and this happens, I don't see where we go forward. And now what I'm witnessing is every reason why I was behind Conte. But now we have got Ange, and I like Ange, and he's doing all the right things. We're now throwing him under a bus. It's killed me, man. It's killed me.
So I just want to say, so like, while I understand what you're saying in a weird sort of way, I think 22 years is a long enough time period for something to be put in place for us to be
and spoiled. It's insane.
22 years. I don't know how long you think it takes, but I'm sure we can do it before 22 years, right? Time is run out.
Can I just ask one thing to Has Bosnian? How are we spoiled when we pay the highest prices of any fan?
We haven't even got anything to be spoiled, though.
But I'm just saying, like, if you, that's like saying, oh, you get to sit in a business class seat on the plane, you're spoiled. But I paid £3,000 for my seat. You paid 150. Am I spoiled? I've paid for that privilege. Like,
forget that.
Where are we spoiled?
Most fans can't even afford to go to the stadium. How are we spoiled? How?
It's £12.50 burger and chips.
Well, Lee mentioned it earlier, right? 250 quid for him to go to a game.
Lee, you're spoiled. You are 250 quid. You spoiled.
But just to add to this as well, back the club and Levy, right? Has Bosnian. How many times has a transfer that looked potential, have potential, fallen through because Levy has decided it's not worth paying a couple of million, and always the number of 5 million always pops up. How are we supposed to back it when you'll get other clubs go, Declan Rice, 105 million, we'll pay it, we want him so badly. I don't think he's worth 105 million. I think Bellingham's worth more than him. I think he's worth less than that. But they've paid it because they wanted it and they needed it. End of story. They've paid the money. Job done. We're still haggling over players for a difference of 5 million. Look at Jed Spence. That went on for absolutely ages because of 5 million. Van der Ven apparently now is going over ages now because we're haggling over 5 million. Every single year, we seem to get to a point where we've almost got something over the line, and it's always come back down to the price and us not wanting to pay what we don't believe it is. Sometimes you have to pay over the odds if you want to play. It's as simple as that. You can't back a chairman that keeps doing it year on year on year on year.
Lee, the thing is, you call it right. See, this is something I actually wanted to touch on. You call it paying over the odds. What I've been taught is it's not over the odds, because there's two types of negotiation. There's one where you start high and you slowly work down to a point of where, right, this is the lowest I'm prepared to go to, but you try and get as much as you can out of the deal. And that's the typical way people. When you're selling, you go high. If you're the buyer, you go low and work your way up and say that's my limit. So if you see a house that you like that's $500,000, you say, right, I'll put a bid in for 450. No, maybe you end up buying about 475. Right? That's one way of negotiating. That's the one most people talk about. The other way of negotiating is you ask what the price is, and they say it's 90 million. You then look at how many other buyers are on the market for that. If you're the only one, you say, right, I can go down a bit. If there's others, you then say, right, what does that asset really mean to me? What does it really mean to me? If it means a lot and you see a greater value, you say, right, they want 90 million. I'm going to wipe out the competition. There's 95. There's 100. Done. And you get it. So you actually pay above the odds. But the reason you do that is because that 100 million asset, if you go and win the Champions League, the league, that's now netted you 200 million. So I'm happy to pay the extra 10 million now if I then cash in double later on. Man City won something like £300 million prize money this year. Do they give a fuck? They paid 100 million for Jack Grealish now? Nope. So that's the side of negotiation that a lot of people don't talk about. It's how you value it in terms of what you think you'll get in the future. So
still, I'll give you another example.
We don't do that. We just go low on everything. It's like, right, how much is that? 50 million. Offer them 20. It's like, but they're going to say no. Like, go in at 20. Do as you're told. All right, but then what can I go up to? Don't go higher than 25. But they want 50 million. Like, how does this work? And then once in a while, we'll do something crazy like 60 million Richarlison, 60 million Ndombele. And then you see, we do spend money. Yeah, but we fucked up 5 deals to get one right, and that player isn't actually good. How are we spending money? It doesn't add up.
No, you're right.
There's no
and
structure.
that's the problem. He's so stubborn.
There's no structure. Well, the structure is that we go for players that are nearing the end of their contracts, and we'll go for players opportunistically. Example being Rafael van der Vaart as one sort of example. You know, wanted out at Real Madrid. They wanted him out, and we paid 8 million for him. Opportunistic. James Maddison, year left in his contract. 40 million, gave them Harry Winks for 10, 30 million, job done.
Yeah.
You know,
and then people will say, "You're right." Yeah, it's true.
You know,
we only go for the deals, right? The bargains.
This Phillips guy as well. Like I said earlier on, they're waiting until Friday so that his fee reduces, and then then we can go in for him.
The thing with Ashley Phillips is he's a good player, but he's not ready for what we're doing.
No, he's not. He'll be an example of how we're even haggling over, a player whose value isn't that great. A youngster. I don't know.
Why is us buying Ashley Phillips even in the media? It's so not a priority.
Future and something just for
it's so not priority though, is it though, JP?
Development squad, right?
Yeah, but we've got anything else to talk about.
It's the closest we've got to a signing, right? As a centre back.
Yeah, exactly. We've got nothing else to talk about. We've got no other players that are potentially joining us at the moment. And the fact that, we're trying to get this one over the line, obviously it's getting a bit more attention. But listen, let's just all get prepared when Eric Dyer is captain for the first game of the season.
Oh my
God. I asked that the other day on a stream. I asked that the other day, saying next season when Kane goes, who would we choose as a captain? I'll ask you guys that question.
Yeah,
probably have. I'd give it to Son.
Captain, I'd give it to Son as well.
I am sure that Ange knows who his captain's going to be. If it's not going to be Kane, because obviously looks like he's not going to be there. I'm sure he has already made that decision. That is one of the things that he does very quick, is identify someone that's going to lead that team on the pitch. I don't think it'll be Son. I don't think he's captain material.
Dyer. We know it's going to be Dyer.
I don't think it'll be Dyer either. If I'm absolutely honest.
What, you think it's going to be Bissouma?
I can't see anyone.
I've heard from some of the quotes that I've heard him say throughout the pre-season tour, I wouldn't be surprised if it's James Maddison. Don't hold me on that, but we'll see. And just to add as well, the game on Sunday is going to give us a preview of what the defence is going to be like for the beginning of the season if we don't get centre-backs in.
Oh my God.
Very interesting, because Shakhtar Donetsk are, I'd say they're pretty much on the same kind of level as most of the mid-range teams within the Premier League, right? And that's where we falter a lot of the years, is always the minnows. We seem to not be able to put it away against the smaller clubs.
It's going to be Ozzy Ardiles all over again, isn't it? We're going to win games 5-3 and lose games 4-1.
Has the Barcelona
exciting football, though, right? Exciting football.
The Barcelona game, is that being cancelled?
No, why?
I've not heard anything. No.
Oh, there was a quote.
I thought I saw something earlier. Yeah.
There was a quote from Davies. He was sitting with Son and Rodon, and he was saying, "Feeling sharp ahead of our final pre-season game." He said. And then I remember reading the comments, and someone said that I think potentially the Barcelona game might be cancelled. If that's the case, it's a disaster, because that means we've had 2.5 pre-season games, and I say half because the game against the Lions.
If that happens, I might actually turn off or mute social media for like 2-3 days because I mean, this was a bit concerning, wasn't it? Eric Dyer admits he can't wait to play for Postecoglou. It's going to be very different than previous years. We're going to play a very exciting brand of football. I make a prediction right now.
He has to say that, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll be really good for Spurs. I'm being serious, by the way. This isn't me trolling anyone. I think he'll be really good for Spurs. Then after 6 months, when reality kicks in, everyone's going to want him at the club. And he's going to be an absolute disaster of a player. But he'll do what he always does. Raises his game.
Conte got a tune out of him. Hey, Ange's got a tune out of him.
Maybe he can play in the number 6.
I don't think he's got the turning ability. Oh, you're joking, all right.
No, we know what his problem is.
We can go down on his knee, can't he?
Yeah, the problem with Dyer is
his
that
hands
the
behind
guy,
his back, running around the field like that.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. He's great at that. It's almost like it's like he's taking the piss out of Richarlison doing the pigeon chest, but he's not. But the problem with Dyer, and we saw it last season, is that as a defender, the guy doesn't tackle, doesn't put a tackle in. He likes to throw himself in front of a ball or try and block things by turning his body. Okay, but he don't like putting a tackle in.
Is there anyone here that thinks we could be in for a surprise and actually we get off to a cracking start? We've got 6 tough games. In fact, I've got the list here. Hold on. Have I got the list here? Yeah, I do. So our first game, blimey, that's tiny.
To make it
Jesus
bigger.
Christ.
Brentford,
that's
Man
the
United.
derbies. Oh, they're the derbies. They're the derbies. Have you got it? I'll read it out.
No. Brentford, Man United. Yeah, go on.
We've got Brentford, Man United, Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Liverpool. They're the first 7 games. So does anyone think that Brentford away, United at home, Bournemouth away, Burnley away, Sheffield United at home, Arsenal away, Liverpool at home? Does anyone think we might just be in for a surprise? And just maybe we've all overreacted. And if we don't buy any more players, that we actually just let out the bag.
Sorry.
I seriously want an answer.
Potential 9 points from those 7 games.
It's a funny old game, they say. It's a funny old game.
You really think we can pull out a surprise out of the bag still?
No.
Did you say 9 points?
I think Burnley, Sheffield United, and Bournemouth are matches that we should be winning, even if it's to score more goals than them.
Don't underestimate.
They are away though, right? I think they're away, aren't they?
I think we win those just by scoring more than we concede. The other games, though, I think that especially United, Arsenal, and Liverpool, that's the trio that you don't want at the beginning of the season when you've got a team that is barely put together after 2 pre-season games. You don't want to be going up against them.
Let me just bring this up now. There it is. Sorry about this, chaps. So, Brentford's the first game away. Then United will be at home. That'll be one hell of a test. Bournemouth away. So it's a funny one, Bournemouth. Burnley away is always tricky. They're playing some great football as well under.
Company's got them. Company's got them in giving a tune, aren't they?
Yeah, Sheffield United at home, we should be winning that. I mean, Arsenal away, I always put it as a loss because we just never do anything there really. And then Liverpool at our ground, do you know what? We tend to give Liverpool a game at our ground. We do
and lose
tend
with
to
a stupid goal, or
and
lose with a stupid goal or something like that near the end.
But we do tend to raise our game for that one. But I mean, how many points should you give us, guys, from the first 7? So out of 21 points, what are you expecting if there's no major changes to the squad?
9.
9. Anyone else?
3, maybe 4.
What?
A draw at Burnley.
Out of the 21.
A draw at Burnley, possibly, and a winner at home to Sheffield United.
Oh, by the way, let's do this on the assumption that Harry Kane isn't at Spurs and Richie's the striker.
Yeah, I am.
Right, I'm gonna say straight off the bat.
But he got a hat trick, didn't he? So no worries about Richie playing in his proper position. He'd be fine.
Straight off the bat, I'm gonna say 4 points. Just looking at that. A win against Sheffield United, because by that time it could get worse and we'll need a result against them at home. The team will come together, get a result. I think Burnley is going to be a tough game away because they play good football. They've got decent defense under Company as well. They're well drilled, so I think that could be a draw. I honestly can't see a win against Brentford, United. Well, mind you, Bournemouth might be able to scrape a point there as well. So maybe 5 points, I'd say, at a push.
Listen, I'm negative, but -2 is something different, bro. I mean, some next level negativity right there, I tell you.
Come on, Gandalf.
Most people are saying like between 7 and 4. I mean, out of 20.
But that's the thing.
That puts us in relegation.
I saw something still earlier from someone. It was one of the tweets saying that he's so negative about the start of the season. And you go, this is what's happened. This is what the club's done to us as fans, right? Years ago, we used to be so excited about the start of the season, right? There used to be talk about players. There was a buzz about it. There was, do you know what? There's a refresh happening, or 2 or 3 new players coming in, and everyone had a little bit of excitement about it. Right now, where we are with 2 weeks to go, we're going to lose our star asset in Kane. We've not done anything really about blocking up the 62 goals we've conceded last year. There is a divide against a lot of the fans. It's only 10 days to go now. And we're kind of in a depressive mode, you know? Whereas start of the season, you think you should be...
By the way,
guys, you can't go from the last season and the terrible, defence into the new season with the same thing and have any kind of
and
hope,
expect anything
right?
different.
If any team worth their salt sees that we're coming into the season with the same defence, they only have to watch the last 7 games of the season to see how to unlock us. And even now, if we're playing even higher line, then it's, anyone with pace
They'll be laughing.
Is going to take the piss out of us. It really is going to be taking the piss out of us.
Guys,
the worst thing for me is, sorry, Stel, just one last point is, as this window gets smaller, 14, 13, 12, 10, 11 days to go, all these teams that got centre-backs that we're going for, surely they'll just go, whatever would have been 30 million before, you got to give me 35 now.
100%.
Or 40 million
100%.
now. 45 now.
Yeah, according to Levy, we do our business in the last week of the transfer window, because that's when all business is done.
That's when you get mugged off.
I'll tell you, Haas, that guy from Blackburn, he was going to be a first teamer.
Ashley Williams.
4 million.
Guys, there's one more topic I'll quickly want to cover, then we're going to wrap it up because we've been going on for ages and people do have work. Richard Knight, you say, come on, people, 9 more likes, 300. Guys, please smash like, get us to 300. Much appreciated. Also, a view from the south side, Coys, get over to Haas and Marlon Ashmatic. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell over there. Tottenham on tour, Brian Daigle's channel, same over there, guys. 3 brilliant channels. Make sure you show the love. So the last thing I wanted to touch, which we haven't touched on, and it's because we just spoke about everything and anything, is we spoke about the Kane situation. We spoke about the toxicity in the club. We spoke about the transfers, and we just had a good chat about what we think the start's going to look like. But we're saying, 10 days to go to the start of the season. This Harry Kane thing's going to drag on. Where's the defender? So what the biggest issues we have as fans is get the defenders in, get this Harry Kane deal sorted out ASAP. But in 31 days' time, we can't sell any more players. And we have got a massive squad. I don't think we're going to sell anyone until we finish the pre-season friendlies, because then that is going to be Andrew's assessment done. We've got no football director. So it's down to Levy, apparently Paratici's there, to get rid of them. guys, on a serious note, how do we get rid of these players? Like, on a genuine, I know the simple answer is, well, you just sell them or just rip up the contracts or loan them. But who's actually going to do the selling, the negotiating, the contracts, finding clubs, players agreeing? For example, we're the only club that tries to negotiate with the Russian club. Yeah, Sanchez will go to Russia. Yeah, okay. That's clever, isn't it? how do we shoot these players? We've got minimum 10 we have to get rid of. And by the way, next year you can only loan 6 players. They've reduced it. You can only loan 6, not 8. Not including under 21s. You can do whatever you want there. I think it's 8 you're allowed under 21s, but squad's big. And so if we let's say we go and buy 2 centre backs, that means we've got to get rid of 12. Any ideas?
I'm really sorry, and it does really feel that I'm picking on him, but who's to blame for this mess? Who's to blame for not putting the people in place?
I mean, I'm hoping that these players there is I'm going to say that there are things happening in the background, but the players are so low profile that no one in the media is actually talking about them, just because no one cares if Winks goes somewhere or blah 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 or this that and the other. I'm hoping that's the case, and they are just going to silently slip out the door. But my head says actually we're not going to get rid of these players because Levy will have his price, and as usual, he won't budge. Even though we all believe that, you know, getting as much as you can for them, even if it's less than you pay for them, is the best solution than ripping up their contracts. But that's not how he works. I mean, I think the Winks one was easy, wasn't it? Because we've got a player coming the other way, and it was a bit of a, you know, you do this, you do that, blah blah blah, whatever. You know, easy thing. But just trying to offload players that don't want to be bought by other players, and probably have said, I don't want to go somewhere like, you know, the league below or something like that. I mean, it's going to be nigh on impossible.
I mean, when you've got Galatasaray offering £8 million for Ndombele, it's just
8 million.
8 million.
8 million euros, yeah.
Even I price him a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
Even as much as Iggy loves him. Iggy, if you're watching, sorry, man, I had to put that in.
I'd take it.
You'd take it? I don't think Levy would take it.
Wages off the books, all of that stuff, you know? And as much as, like, again, he'll haggle for 5 million. He'll haggle for this lovely £5 million fee, or the 5 million more for Davis or Dyer or someone. Yeah, we'll pay them for the next year or the next 2 years in wages, which probably would be the 4 million quid, right?
JP, whose contract would you rip up first? Right, let's say each one of you here is allowed to rip up one person's contract. Not that I know if you can actually do those kind of things, but who would you rip up first or terminate or whatever the technical term is?
Dyer.
Lee's not going to say Dyer.
So many to choose from.
Sanchez,
I think Sanchez.
Cess.
I think even I will give Dyer a tiny bit of credit that, as much as we piss and moan on him, having to watch Sanchez play again and not being able to control a ball without a person within about 40 feet of him, and seeing it go under his foot or something like that, I can't take that anymore. That literally is like, oh my god, my 8-year-old boys in our team can control a ball better than you. It's got to be Sanchez for me.
That's not a dig at Dave Clark there, because he says, "Oh, you can't just rip up a contract." But did we not do that with what's his name that we got from Wolves?
Yeah, Doherty.
David Clark says you cannot unilaterally cancel a player's contract. So what he's saying is, unless you can prove the player has committed a serious breach of contract, which Doherty didn't do, or
if both parties agree.
Well, he's calling himself a defender, isn't that a breach?
He's calling himself a football player.
My God, we've got about 15 cases of breach of contracts at Tottenham.
Joe Lewis breached his contract as well, isn't
it? Don't.
Smoking Joe.
Oh, just as an FYI, that whole Joe Lewis thing has got no play on Tottenham. Yeah.
I've got a slight concern that we're going to have. I've got a slight concern. We're going to have some players that are still at Spurs next season that we don't want, that we just can't get rid of, and they're going to be on the wage bill.
We're going to have all of them, mate. Gio looks good. No one wants Ndombele. No one's going to have Cess. It'd be lucky.
Ndombele, he hasn't even played.
You know what the worst thing is? Hugo. We didn't take Hugo because we were going to get him to find a club. He's still there.
Sorry, someone's just sent me a picture of the squad.
They're all sitting on good money and happy to sit there and take it and steal their living. And
football comes second, right? Not wanting to play.
And we have a chairman of the club who seems to think the same way. Don't worry, just put them out.
I'm just going to bring up the whole squad. Let's see how many we actually need to get rid of. Where is it?
Oh, by the way, well done to Paul O'Keefe, by the way, who reported at the end of last season that loads of contracts were going to be ripped up to support Angie's new rebuild. That turned out well.
Yeah.
Just going to reuse the contracts for toilet paper, save a few pennies.
Cheers for that, matey. Here we go. So, but just looking at that crop of talent, how many would you say need to be removed from Spurs? Right, let's do a quick count each and let's see what number we come to. Why have we got 5 goalkeepers? I mean, fucking hell. Tell us in the comments how many you think. This is a great comment, isn't it?
Reading that
Worst rebuild ever. Worst rebuild ever.
Reading that on the top, we've got to get rid of at least 2 foreign players and not bring any more in. So 17 is the max we can have, right?
So Tapsoba and Mickey are off the table then.
So we've almost got to get rid of 4 foreign players to be able to bring those 2 guys in. So I think that's got to be Sanchez. Just Davis class as foreign, Welsh. I don't know.
No, I think
Davis, Reguilon, Lo Celso, and Ndombele have got to be 4 out if you want the 2 defenders to come in. Possibly Højbjerg if he wants to leave, and then maybe keep Lo Celso. I don't know. But then you've got to get rid of 5 other players as well.
14.
If we sell Kane, that's a homegrown talent gone.
Yeah. So I think Hill's got to go out on loan.
Again, he hasn't played again. Hill hasn't played for us.
No, he hasn't been there at all, has he? No. I think Perisic is probably gone, even though I think he looked like one of our best players on the left when he's actually played out in the wing in the second half of those 2 matches.
I count 1, 2, 3.
Rodon out on loan again, I suppose.
5.
He needs to be
Spence out on loan.
8, 9. I count 10 to 12 players that need to go, in my opinion. 10 to 12.
12 for me. It's 12.
14 I called.
So 6 on loan and 6 sell. I think one of the goalkeepers has got to go on loan, isn't they?
Listen, Lloris and one of those goalies.
Forster.
I don't see the reason Foster's at the club. And if Brandon Austin's ahead of Alfie Whiteman, there's no point keeping Alfie Whiteman. It's not fair on him. Austin's ahead of him.
This is another thing, though. The whole debacle with Lloris, right? 2 weeks before the start of the season, we're all led to believe that he said, I'm going. He's still here. And he was even involved in the passing drills at training about 3 weeks ago.
Graham would get rid of
the
problem is
he's probably got to keep fit or something, isn't he? So
apparently he we won't accept we didn't accept the offer for him. We wanted more.
Oh, dearie me.
But David, this is the point, isn't it? You're saying you don't have to get rid of them, but then, like you say, we have to pay their wages. Is Daniel Levy going to have a ton of players on the wage bill that aren't working? Like paying people for work when they're not working, I just don't I don't. That's not Levy.
That's not logical.
Daniel Levy
to do.
That's not Daniel Levy.
It doesn't.
Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been a long show tonight. I had a feeling it might be with
a good one.
So many guests, and so much to talk about. And yeah, no, great show. Just want to say a big thank you to Lee, as always, to Haz, Brian Daigle, Mari, Will, everyone that was on the show tonight. Haz, when you
feeling better, Iggy?
Yeah, Iggy, get well soon, my man. When you
catch up tomorrow night, Southview Coys. I think the show will be starting around 9 o'clock in the evening. And you've got your main man, Ashmatic, doing a review on a few players for you tomorrow night. Should be a great show. They've got a couple of great guests coming on the show. You don't want to miss that tomorrow. Make sure you tune in around 9 p.m. tomorrow evening, Southview's Coys. And then we've got a few more shows lined up in the coming weeks. And we've also got, I believe, HOTSPUR. Everyone knows HOTSPUR. HOTSPUR might be joining us for a few shows as well. So we've got a lot going on, man. But make sure you tune in tomorrow. Give us a like and subscribe as well. That would be fantastic. I think we're only something like 90 away from 1,000 at the moment. So every little helps. Yeah.
Guys, there's 285 people still watching. Can 90 of you just leave this show immediately? Go to A View South Side Coys and just subscribe. 90 people. We're asking for 19, 20, 30%. Right, 1 in 3 of you just go over there and just hit subscribe. That's all it takes.
Even if it's just to check out all his trainers in the background.
There's more coming.
Even if you unsubscribe tomorrow, just so they went to 1,000 tonight.
Haz, the background of your streams are very close. First to my favourite background. The first is Danny Kyriakis' man bum, because you're never gonna. That's just prime. But those shoes are like a very close second, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Yeah, there'll be a different background next week. I'm actually changing the whole design.
There's the link, guys.
So yeah, watch out for that one.
Big up, Phil. Cheers, man.
Come on, everyone. I'll put the link there. Phil's put the link there. Let's just go over there. Just hit subscribe. It's that simple. It's free.
It's free. Well, it's free. Come on.
It's free. It's free.
Look at those Nike trainers. You get
as
to
he's
listen to
as he's hitting the like for us. It's free.
Yeah, smash the like here as well. Give us
Listen, I might
big
even
up,
big
up to Simon.
Sorry, I was just going to say I might even chuck in a free pair of trainers if we hit 1,000. I might even chuck in a free pair of trainers for someone.
Do you know what? I'll subscribe then.
I'll subscribe. I was just going to say big up to Simon Buffery, who's give us 1 like on Facebook.
Oh, Simon.
I can see the
respect.
name. I can see the name, so call him out.
Big up, Simon Buffery. Thank you to all the super chats tonight from Ian, Davo, Jason Groves, Rob Air, couple from Phil P. Woo! London Bro, and De La Spurs. Big up to you guys. Thank you to everyone in the comments tonight who just shared your wisdom with us. Big up to Lee, Haas, Brian, Will, Mari, JP. Is there anything else you guys want to speak about, or should we just give it a good night?
Good night. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Tomorrow morning, 9:30. Check it out. Going live, Brian Daigle. You're going to want to hear this, people. See you later. Right here.
On here still?
On Tottenham Away, on this channel, yeah.
Cool.
Peace.
Lock it in, guys.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.